Long live the morning routine. Long live friendly competition. Long live cozy nights at home. And long live healthcare that works with your life. Access to great doctors, simple mobile app, convenient locations across Long Island? Absolutely. You have options, but at Catholic Health, we'd like to remind you to choose you first, because we did too. Long live you, and long live Long Island.
It is Friday night lights here inside Donnelly Field. South Huntington, Long Island, from one island to the other. The Monsignor Farrell boys have made the trip, looking to do what they did 2 years ago and head back across the Verrazano with a win. A gorgeous night here in South Huntington for this Catholic AAA showdown. And this Catholic League showdown is presented, of course, fittingly enough, by Catholic Health. Well, a pleasant good evening, everyone. Dylan Butler alongside Pat Godfrey. And we love these Friday nights in the Catholic High School League, the AAA division, of course. And these are two teams that are rich in tradition. Neither have ever dropped from the AAA, so we're expecting a fun one here tonight.
Oh, it should be a great one. One crazy thing that you brought up going into this is the last 3 times these teams have met, the away team has won, but that's going to be a tall task tonight for Monsignor Farrell, making the 59-mile trip from Staten Island to the harsh conditions inside Donnelly.
Yeah, they left somewhere around 1:45 this afternoon, and their buses rolled up, I think, around 5 o'clock. That was at least a plan from their head coach, Rocco Del Priori. But listen, as you see, the lights are bright here in St. Anthony's, but Monsignor Farrell, we'll start with these guys, right? A good start for this year, right, for these guys. They come into this one 3-1, their only loss at Del Barton, right? So no shame in that, certainly, but the thing is about this team, Pat, they are a senior-laden team, and oftentimes, you know it well, right? In the Catholic League, in high school football, you win with seniors.
Absolutely, especially in the harsh conditions of going on the road to St. Anthony's. You really want that kind of leadership to step up. And this senior class with 30 guys for Monsignor Farrell has really seen it all during their tenure playing for the Lions. But tonight, they're really going to have to rally together against a very talent-laden team for the St. Anthony's Friars.
Yeah, Farrell coming off an emotional win on Staten Island, or is it in Staten? I know we're on Long Island, but is it?
I think it's on an island.
But they did beat St. Peter's 48-13 in their last game, and listen, this is going to be a battle of teams that want to impose their will on the other and also kind of play in a very similar way, right? Monsignor Farrell, they are stout up front. They've got senior leaders there, and they want to run the football, right? Kevin Gum is their guy. But also, let's talk about their players to watch now, Pat. As you see the Lions there warming up before the start of this one, and their 2 impact players. Here they are. On the left, Alex Houston, a guy who brings a little bit of everything to the game on the offensive side, and Cole Savino. Those numbers are no joke right now. He gets into the backfield and he wreaks havoc.
Yeah, you know, you talk about a guy like Cole Savino coming in with 5 sacks, including 3 sacks last week against rival St. Peter's. This guy's an absolute stud coming off the edge. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Alex Houston, he's a dynamic talent, comes in with 270 yards receiving on the year, 3-time varsity guy, and somebody who they're really going to have to lean on in order to break open some big plays against a very stout St. Anthony's defense.
Yeah, so you see the 2 teams making their way onto the field. For St. Anthony's, it's a new era, right? When we last saw these guys, at least on the Varsity Media Sports Network, they were losing in the Catholic High School final to a super talented Iona Prep team, which is the clear favorite again this year in the AAA. But St. Anthony's, it's a different look now, right? You had Gary Merrill, who was their do-it-all, fantastic, incredible, athletic Gatorade player of the year at quarterback. Now, you're not necessarily asking his replacement, if you will, Anthony DeLesso, to be that guy, but it is different moving parts for this team. There's certainly still a lot of talent, but it's a different team this year.
Yeah, relative inexperience on this St. Anthony's team. A lot's going to be asked of Anthony DeLesso, but one thing that makes life a lot easier for the sophomore signal caller is big number 14 that stands behind him in the backfield, Xavier Bala, one of the best running backs in the entire Northeast, a 4-star recruit who, once he gets going, it can be a long day for opposing defenses, averaging over 10 yards a carry thus far in this 2025 campaign. So look for St. Anthony to lean on the rushing attack a little bit more than they have in recent years with the likes of Gary Merrill and Dante Torres at the helm.
And you're right, you're already in midseason form. Let's get to our players to watch. You see Bala on the left, 19 college offers. We'll get to those during the broadcast, but the biggest of the biggest teams, right? All on Bala's radar. He's a north-south guy. He's hit the weight room hard in the offseason, and Kevin Moore is an absolute dude. He'll see some time, like a lot of the best guys in the secondary for St. Anthony's, on the offensive side as well, but he is heading to Delaware because he is such a terrific player in the defensive secondary.
Yeah, Bala's only a junior, but he's been a fun guy to watch the last 3 years. Got a lot of playing time as a freshman, and that experience should hopefully translate tonight as they really look for him to tote the rock and get things going on the ground. And then on the flip side, Kevin Moore, he's an absolute stud, a ball hawk who comes into this game with 2 interceptions throughout 4 games in this 2025 campaign. He's really going to have to step up to try and stop Moy and this Lions attack.
It is Monsignor Farrell. It is St. Anthony's. It is a classic, old-school Catholic AAA showdown. We'll have the opening kickoff and more when we return here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
It's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! 1-0, Garden City.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Hi, I'm Katie Ledecky. As an Olympic athlete, you might think staying healthy is easy for me. Truth is, we all face challenges. Keeping the right mindset is how we achieve our best personal performance. At Catholic Health, the same focus on wellness and prevention that I follow every day is the way they think too. That's why I'm teaming up with Catholic Health to help make healthcare even more positive, proactive, and personal for every person across Long Island. Long live you, and long live Long Island.
You've seen the dedication, the long hours, the early mornings, the sacrifice. You know your athlete has what it takes, but how do you make sure the right people see it? The recruiting process isn't easy. Coaches are flooded with highlights, but how do you stand out in the crowd? At Varsity Media, we specialize in creating game-changing ISO videos, high-definition, athlete-focused footage that highlights exactly what college recruiters want to see. With our up-close ISO video, we capture your athlete's key moments. No more wide angles showing other players. This is just your athlete's pure, raw talent. This is more than a video. This is the opportunity your athlete deserves. Give your athlete the edge they need. Make the right impression. with Varsity Media's ISO video service. The future starts now.
Back at Cy Donnelly Field in the white pullover is a guy who is Monsignor Farrell through and through. Pat Rocco Del Priore, 4th season as head coach, but he is a 2005 graduate. He was that undersized old lineman, that tough dude playing for the Lions back in the day, learning from the likes of Tony Garofalo and Ben Cerullo. Had always wanted to be in this position. Said a while ago, some people want to be the center fielder for the New York Yankees. I wanted to be the head coach of Monsignor Farrell, and he brings that passion certainly every day to his program.
Coach Del Priore, still a relatively young guy, but with close to 20 years of coaching experience under his belt, is going to have his Lions ready to go in a game that he knows they're going to have to play some clean football. When he talked to him going into this, he said, no self-inflicted errors. We're going to have to play a clean football game because St. Anthony's can make you pay, and he's going to bring their biggest punch from Staten Island out here tonight.
He's a guy, too, lost back-to-back championships to St. Anthony's back when he was the starting nose guard at Monsignor Farrell. On the other side, it is Joe Minucci. 7th season, as the head coach. Also a guy who is St. Anthony's through and through. Class of 1999 for Joe Minucci, a guy who lost to Monsignor Farrell in the semifinals in his senior year. So this game also means a lot to Joe Minucci.
Oh, yeah, Coach Minucci, a guy who played a bit of football on Sundays in the NFL, but I think if you talk to him, he'd tell you that there's nothing better than a big Friday night in South Huntington.
Pat, while we have a chance, let's take a look. We spoke with both head coaches. Take a look at both teams' keys to victory.
Yeah, for Monsignor Farrell, they're really going to want to run the football effectively. You know, when Kevin Gum is able to get yardage on the ground, things really start clicking for that Lions offense. No costly penalties, as we mentioned, and they got to be resilient. They know they're going to get hit, and it's really all about how can we respond when St. Anthony's gets out in front of you. And then on the flip side, for St. Anthony's, establish a run, see what Xavier Bala can get going, stop their run game because that's really the lifeblood of the Farrell attack, and eliminate the explosive plays. Guys like Alex Houston and Braxton Moy can really make you pay if you allow them to get behind the defense. So it's going to be important for St. Anthony's to keep everything in front of them.
You see the weather in the top left of your screen. A warm evening here tonight in South Huntington, 77 degrees. So we certainly hope players on both teams got their hydration in these last couple of days, not these last couple of hours, right? As Monsignor Farrell will be set to kick off. It'll be Jake Burrows to do so. Deep for the Friars, and it's a short one because you don't want to kick it to 14. So St. Anthony's will start at about their own 29-yard line, and they've got a sophomore QB leading the way. As we discussed in the open, it is Anthony DeLesso. 5'10", 170, is not asked to do too much. Don't be Gary Merrill. Don't be Dante Torres before him. Just run the offense, and he's done a really good job of that in the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, DeLesso's a guy who's been getting better week over week, and as he continues to mature, this is going to be a tough challenge. Big AAA opponent, Friday Night Lights. This is what he's been dreaming of when he decided to come to St. Anthony's.
And played well in the win over Kellenberg last week, but like you said, this is a little bit of a different animal here. Hands off to Xavier Bala, and you see what Bala can do. A little shimmy, right? A little shake, and then a first down for Bala.
Playing with some nice physicality there. He can lower his shoulder. A big dude at 6'1", 215.
Watch this little hesitation right there.
And that vision right there is one of the big things that separates Xavier Bala from almost any running back in New York.
There's the fake. DeLesso under pressure, comes to the near sideline, and tiptoeing it there, Anthony Mancaruso with the grab. Let's meet the St. Anthony's offense. Joining DeLesso, Bala, and Mancaruso, you've got Johnny Russo, George Scandaris, Prokop is your tight ends. There's always seemingly a Chanchuli on this line, joined by Hoffman, Furnell, Scalisi, and Joseph. Look out for that right tackle, Justin Joseph. Just a baby at 14 years old. Very much the future of this program. Look at that, another change direction. We're coming this side, and that's good pursuit to the football by the Lions defense. It is a first down, but let's meet the starters off defensively for Monsignor Farrell. Up front, it's Palazzula, Vitale, and Savino. Your backers are Costanzo, Doyle, Mastro Giulio, and Insalaco. At corners, Pasqualone, Libretta. Your safeties are Leverock and Vento. Another carry and some more yards after contact.
So far, St. Anthony's moving the ball at will, and if Xavier Bala can get yardage at 8-10 a clip, that's going to be a recipe for success all night long.
And we heard from Joe Minucci, right? What's different? What's better about Xavier Bala? And he said all that maturity and all the muscle growth just makes him so much more impressive. He's done he's made developing his body a huge priority. But how about that tackle? Right at the feet. That's Charlie Costanzo, the sophomore.
Yeah, he's a really promising player for that Farrell defense out there. Great size and length, and steps up there with a big tackle on second down to force the first third down of the night for St. Anthony's.
In that loss, really filled the stat sheet against Del Barton, which to this point has been the Lions' most difficult opponent. So it sets up a 3rd and 3. Another handoff. And it looks to be another first down run as well for Xavier Bala.
Bala does a good job of just seeing the field. He's a patient runner, which is so rare to find out of a high school back, but he sees it and knows how to get his shoulder down, get across the sticks.
See the size too, right? Good size, 6'1", 215. Another handoff, and there is again that change of direction, looking for the holes. And that's a lot of the ways you have to try to stop him, right? Gang tackling. And we saw that there from Monsignor Farrell, the last man to jump on him there. As it ends up being, it's like a 2nd and about 6.
2nd and 7.
Bala again explodes through the hole. That's a nice tackle at the point of contact.
Looks like big number 79 in there for Monsignor Farrell.
We had Cole Savino as well, number 9, in on the tackle.
As well as Carlo Della Ragione, the big cannoli, a guy you are more used to seeing on offense, playing a little bit of defensive tackle out here tonight.
This sets up a 3rd down, 3rd and 4. Handoff to Bala, and that's a good-looking tackle on this side.
Vento with the stop.
You credit Vento with the stop.
Yeah, Anthony Vento, not the biggest guy at 5'8", 175, but a lot of courage packed in that 175 pounds, taking down the 215-pound Bala.
So here we go, 4th down for the Friars. You could try some cadence here, but I think you like the fact that you've got 14 here behind you. That's the case. There is a flag on the play. Bala cuts it to the outside. It's a first down run, but we expect this to come back as our referee, Jimmy Graham, indicates it's a holding penalty against the Friars.
That one's really going to hurt as they're kind of in no man's land out there, a bit too far out for a field goal, but then all of a sudden looking at a potential 4th down and 12. Tough decision right here for Coach Minucci. And yeah, that looks like just your sophomore, number 78 or 79, Justin Joseph, gets hit with the hold, and that relative inexperience on the St. Anthony's offensive line costs him.
And a hold by Joseph will show right away. He is 6'5", 290. So that is a big fella right there.
And only 14. I wonder where he's going. You know, maybe 6'10", 400.
DeLesso back to pass, plenty of time, rolls to his left. Another flag is thrown, and he is sent down to the turf. How about it, Michael Insalaco?
Yeah, the senior backer flies up right here. And looks like that's going to be another holding penalty. It's declined, and a huge stop for Farrell getting off. You'll see DeLesso just struggling to find a man downfield and just holds on to the ball for too long. Great job by Insalaco in kind of a spy position there, flying up and making sure that the Lions get off the field.
From one sophomore quarterback to the other, Bryce Moy in for the Lions. There you see his numbers on the season. Impressive indeed. A guy who not only has the athleticism, but he also brings it, as there's a flag. So I guess we can speak more about Moy here. But he not only brings it athletically, but he has it above the shoulders, right? He has that football IQ.
Yeah, and if you want to know how much they trust Bryce Moy in this team, he's first sophomore captain in the history of Farrell football. Really impressive. Got some reps in actually on the varsity as a freshman last year, so a little bit more experience coming into year 2 for the very young signal caller with a bright future.
Back to throw, goes to that far sideline, trying to find his brother, his twin brother, Braxton Moy. We'll meet the starters offensively now for Monsignor Farrell. Joining the Moy brothers, it's Gum, Houston, Tate, Fahim up front. The big cannoli, Della Ragione, joined by Spatola, Lombardi, Abushi, and Costello. If the last name Abushi means something to you, it's the younger, or the nephew, excuse me, of Obe Abushi, former Zavarian standout, played in the NFL. How about that defense by the Friars? We'll meet those dudes up front. DJ Garcia, a returner on the line. He's joined by Jampali, Shaughnessy as well on the other end, Bramoff, along with Frankie Filiperto, Dave McHugh, John Drew. Corners, Allen and Sanchez. And it doesn't get better, much better, than the safety duo of Kevin Moore and Danny Rooney. Wide open receiver that just gets you back to the original line of scrimmage, though.
Nice open field tackle by Danny Rooney right there. Gets a little bit less fanfare than his compatriot in the secondary, Kevin Moore, but Danny Rooney, the Maryland lax commit, is a returning starter and a guy who Joe Minucci really trusts to get his secondary lined up, play in and play out.
Jake Burrows is back to punt. Dylan DeBella is your long snapper. Deep for the Friars, Johnny Russo, a really good punt. And that one will take a Farrell bounce inside the 10. How about that? Jake Burrows.
Really impressive punt right there by Burrows. Last time I saw this Farrell team, it was out at Del Barton in a tough loss in Morristown, and really special teams is kind of their Achilles heel. Got to be encouraging for Farrell fans to see that unit get started so well out here today.
And now you force St. Anthony's to have to go more than 90 yards up the field. As you see the boys there checking out the film. The TV has gotten smaller on the sideline. Used to be, I think, like a 70-inch monitor there.
They want to keep that unit tight, metaphorically and physically.
Yes.
It's a tough situation right here for Anthony DeLesso. With his heels almost in the end zone, starting off this drive. Expect them to get it to Bala, get a little breathing room.
And Bala is in the end zone as he runs this side. So he gets a chunk of those yards back, forced out of bounds.
With the force out.
As we've seen early on, Pat, one of the things that Bala does so well, it's the starting and the stopping, and everything that he does, usually it is north-south. A lot of running backs, they try to go east-west. He's got that GPS straight forward.
Yeah, tall guy, but he runs a good pad level. Coach Minucci said it's very rare to see that guy get tackled and fall backwards. He always has good forward lean, and you see that again right there to set up a third manageable.
Yeah, right on cue. They're pushing forward.
These are the kind of situations, if you're calling plays for St. Anthony's tonight, that you want to get your sophomore quarterback into. Third and long is not going to be a recipe for success, but here you got an option to potentially run it, and then all of a sudden you can also spin it out there to some of those more experienced wide receivers on the edge.
3rd and 4 for the Friars. Here is DeLesso. In and out of the hands. That is some terrific coverage. You got to credit
Alex Houston right there.
Yeah, Houston. We thought we'd see a little bit of Houston in the secondary today.
Yeah, he was our player to watch for Farrell on the offensive side of the ball. But right there, you just see those natural instincts as he flies up. He's actually the starting cornerback for Farrell in 23 when they came in here and shocked the world with an upset over the Friars just 2 years ago.
And what was his main responsibility? KJ Duff on that evening. Michael Libretta is deep for Monsignor Farrell. And a timeout is called early on here by St. Anthony's.
You know, you mentioned KJ Duff. One thing I want to throw out there for all the Friars fans who aren't aware, right now Rutgers has the 2 leading receptions guys in the Big Ten. They're tied at 24 catches.
And tell the folks again who those 2 guys are.
One is big KJ Duff standing at 6'6", the other Ian Strong at 6'3". A couple of Friar alumni really making waves at the next level. And it's been fun watching that duo continue on together.
They had a tough loss last week to Iowa in the unforgiving Big Ten. So back to punt here. It's Kevin Moore. Fair catch is called. Ooh, look out. Libretta.
That's muffed.
Did he touch it, though?
St. Anthony's ball in my eyes.
And no, they're saying he didn't touch it. The official there had a great vantage point.
Yeah, he had a better vantage point than me.
But what's the old terminology, right? Poison? Like, oof.
Oh, that's a scary one right there. Either in or out in that spot, you know. Go for it, make the catch, or get the heck away from the ball.
Exactly. No, you don't go in between. But Monsignor Farrell dodges the bullet, and they've got great field position off of that defensive stop. They start at their own 46-yard line. Moy, the handoff, and that's Kevin Gum, the senior captain workhorse.
Yeah, Kevin Gum came into this game 52 carries, almost 500 yards. Really video game-like numbers for number 0. So much of the success of this Farrell offense is predicated on how Kevin Gum can get going.
Yeah, 52 carries, 494 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also brings it in the receiving game as well. Gum with another carry, but hit for a loss. Looks like it was Kevin Moore.
Kevin Moore right there does a good job flying up. We mentioned earlier his abilities in the passing game, but also a very physical player at that safety position.
3rd and 4 here for Monsignor Farrell. Flag on the play as looks like that is Gum. Gets around the outside on that jet sweep, but again, this is one that looked like it came in the backfield as our referee with the white hat, Jimmy Graham, will detail here for us.
For those wondering, no, that is not the same Jimmy Graham from the Saints, but nonetheless, a guy who's going to do his best out here at St. Anthony's. And yeah, as you can see,
an illegal shift.
Illegal shift, that's tough. Farrell really came into this game hoping to avoid those costly penalties, and on 3rd down, that one's going to hurt.
Yeah, Pat, those are the ones that he said, right? The self-inflicted wounds is the way that Del Priori categorized them. Moy back to pass, and they'll get close to the 1st down marker. The reception again, Braxton Moy.
Now it's decision time for Rocco Del Priori.
Oh, there is no decision. They're going to go quick.
They're here to win.
Exactly. They didn't travel from Staten Island to punt it where they are in the field. 4th and 1. High snap. Moy takes it himself. He'll get the 1st down and more. Downs at the 36-yard line.
It's a really nice job right there, just running behind a couple trusted seniors in that O-line, Abushi and Costello, and he was able to find a nice hole to move the sticks.
And you can see Farrell wants to move quickly here. Nice hesitation. Great cut to the outside by Kevin Gum. And another big carry for the Lions, who have a little momentum going right now.
Yeah, impressive running right there from Kevin Gum. I counted 3 broken tackles right here, couple St. Anthony's defenders, and then just adds a little bit more physicality, doing his best Cam Scattaboo impression for all those Giants fans out there.
So they'll say they actually moved the chains there. Another first down run for Kevin Gum, as the Lions threatening to score first here. There's a handoff. It is Gum again to carry. It's like number 8. Jax Prokop in on the tackle.
With the stop.
And that's another situation where you see a couple St. Anthony's defenders with an opportunity to bring down Gum in the backfield, but just so elusive and able to gain some positive yards there on first down.
2nd and 6.
2nd and 6. And again, this is what Monsignor Farrell wants to do. Ground and pound, pushing the ball forward behind a senior-laden offensive line. It is Gum again to do so.
Gum on the carry.
Yeah, Farrell's got a lot of confidence in this O-line to be able to move people around. A lot of size up front, averaging around 250 pounds per guy. And playing some physicality here early.
Boy, that one was deflected. He was trying to find his brother.
Pass is incomplete. Intended for
It is now a 4th and 2.
Brings up 4th
Got to
down.
expect this to be another go-for-it type situation. Yeah, he was seeing nothing but his twin brother right there was Bryce Moy, but the deflection sets up another crucial 4th down on this drive.
Well, the Lions have already converted on 4th down on this drive. Moy with Gum to his right hip. Braxton Moy at the top of your screen. Then you've got Tate Newston on the bottom. Moy fumbled the football. It won't matter. St. Anthony's will take over.
You saw in the opening drive, St. Anthony's moved down the field quickly, but struggled as they got close to the red zone. And then on the flip side, Farrell puts together a nice drive, but a key stop right there for the St. Anthony's D to prevent any points.
Kind of a bend but don't break, right? I think it was John Drew who ended up falling on the football for the Friars, as they will start at their own 22-yard line.
A little bit better field position than last drive.
But that's the other part of it, right? That's the glass half full even for Farrell, as that quick out was dropped. You go for it. Even if you don't get it, you're again forcing St. Anthony's to go down a long field.
Exactly. Not easy for Anthony DeLesso to be asked to go 78 yards to the heart of that Farrell D. And a little bit of a surprising pass on first down. Not going to see a ton of that tonight with how much they like to lean on their experienced running back Bala.
You mentioned this Farrell defense averaging only 15 points against through their first 4 games. Handoff comes our way. Terrific tackle.
What a job running up. And that once again was Anthony Vento. You're going to be hearing his name a lot.
Double deuce.
Oh, yeah. You just got to love seeing a 175-pounder go and bring the wood against a running back with a whole host of offers.
Vento's like, I see your offers. I'm coming at you. DeLesso flushed out of the pocket, tucks it under, tries to angle his run towards the sideline. And again, Vento among the tacklers for Farrell.
Looks like Insalaco also in there. A couple names you've already called out here tonight. And even though this is 4th and short, in this kind of field position would be a very aggressive move. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little pooch kick right here. Try and flip the field.
And a timeout called by Farrell. What we don't know is if DeLesso has that in his bag of tricks. So this actually timeout might actually also help St. Anthony's, because again, it's Moore who is your punter for St. Anthony's.
With the way that your defense has been playing thus far for the Friars, if I'm Joe Minucci, I'm playing the field position game out here Don't want to give a short field to Bryce Moy and company with the way that they've been running the ball. But we shall see. It's 4th and 1, and we know they like to play aggressive.
A year ago, St. Anthony's went all the way to the Catholic Championship game, went 9-4 on the season. They opened with a loss here against Chaminade, and then they played really well the rest of the way. You see their last 3 seasons. In 2022, that was the senior year for Dante Torres, and what a year it was, right? First Catholic State Championship, going up to Buffalo to do so. They lost in the quarterfinals the year after to Cardinal Hayes, and here they go, pushing forward, and looks to be a flag. It came from that far side official.
Interesting setup. They line up Bala at the quarterback position and just ask him to find a little spot. Looked like he might have gotten it, but the false start going to bring this one back a few yards and ultimately lead to a punt.
Oh, it's a correction there. That was an illegal shift. Regardless, though, that will be a turnover on downs. So here comes, excuse me, no, they'll accept it because it was a first down run. So it'll be a punt for Moore. And again, it is Libretta. And it feels a little like Groundhog's Day because he's just about in the same position he was a few minutes ago as we're inside the final minute of the first quarter.
You can bet his coaches told him, hey, if it's a poison call, then get away. We don't want to play any games unlike the last time around.
This one is angled by Moore, and Libretta's like, I'm not even touching that one. He gets to his bench as Farrell will start things off with some pretty good field position right at midfield. We mentioned St. Anthony's last 3 years for Raquel Del Priori. You see the look last year, a tough defeat, right? At the Lions then to Chaminade in the quarterfinals. Year before that, the semis, the quarters, their last Catholic League championship back in 2000. In the 90s, they were that team. They were the dominant team, winning so many of their titles in the 80s and 90s.
Similar to how St. Anthony's feels like they should run Long Island football, the Farrell faithful feel the same way about their place out on Staten Island, but a few other good programs out there. You look at St. Peter's, look at St. Joe's C, and just harder for them to dominate talent like they once did out in the 5th borough.
Yeah, their last trip to the championship game was actually in 2021. We had that game on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Nice run by Gum, nearing the first down marker. That was a 49-13 defeat. In 2000, they beat St. Anthony's 24-23. That was back-to-back years, beating the Friars for the last 2 championships for Monsignor Farrell. This 3rd and 2 will happen in the second quarter as the first quarter ends scoreless. A lot of defense, Pat, being played, especially for the boys from Staten Island.
Old school football right here. You see Anthony Vento flying up, and Farrell brought that physicality with them on the bus ride. Going to be a long night here at Cy Donnelly Field. We got it all on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Second quarter, up next.
What's up, this is Sean Lights Out Merriman, former Charger and Bill, and you're watching Varsity Media.
Long live the morning routine. Long live friendly competition. Long live cozy nights at home. And long live healthcare that works with your life. Access to great doctors, simple mobile app, convenient locations across Long Island. Absolutely. You have options, but at Catholic Health, we'd like to remind you to choose you first, because we did too. Long live you, and long live Long Island.
So here we go, 3rd and 2 for Monsignor Farrell. There is Gum. Look at the explosion by the senior running back, who is still on his feet inside the 30-yard line.
And Dylan, doesn't it feel like every time Kevin Gum touches the ball, it's broken tackle after broken tackle? Right here, you see that physicality as he follows his offensive lineman around the edge. Really nice lead blocking by Ibushi and Lombardi. And that's another set of downs for the Lions O.
Moy. Flag on the play. What a grab inside the 5-yard line. Ryan Tate makes the grab, but this one, Pat, unfortunately for Farrell, will come back.
Yeah, the senior Tate goes up there. You saw that 6'3" frame over the middle, but looks like that might have been a holding penalty that's going to get Farrell behind the sticks and cancel out the big play.
You can hear their faithful to our left. Nice fake here by Moy. And I think it was right there, right? On that edge, that right edge.
It's tough, too, because either way, Moy has time to step up there and deliver. And another one of those self-inflicted wounds that Farrell was so desperately trying to avoid.
I think that was against Thomas Costello, the senior right tackle. Quick out. Good looking stuff there. That's Gianni Pascaloni. We're going to see a few different options, right? Wide receiver wise for Bryce Moy.
Yeah, they've got a lot of guys that can step up and make some big plays. Obviously, his twin brother Braxton is a favorite target. Houston was our player to watch, but you look at Pascalone as well as Tate. It's really a bevy of different options every time he drops back.
And Moy, under pressure this time, gets a nice block and just throws it towards the sideline. Wise play.
Robert Hamel right there.
Yeah.
Almost to the fantastic play, but instead it's going to be 3rd and long for the Farrell O.
But that's that football IQ, right? The acumen that Rocco Del Priore mentions.
Yeah, you see so many sophomore quarterbacks try and force something in that situation, but he's got the good head on his shoulders to know, hey, live to play another down, and sets up a 3rd down in what is likely four down territory in this spot on the field.
Here is Pascaloni. Shifty, cuts it to the outside. What a carry by the senior.
Yeah, what a great play right there by Pascaloni. You'll see him follow his blockers. Nice block by the big cannoli outside, Della Ragione.
Gets one by Ryan Tate there as well. That last one was a big one.
Blocking by receivers can really be the difference maker between a big run and something getting stopped. So this is going to set up a 4th and 1, and unsurprisingly, Farrell's going for it.
High snap, it's Moy. Lowering the shoulders and moving the chains.
Dylan, one thing that I'm seeing up front right now is just domination of this St. Anthony's front 7 by the experienced offensive lineman of Farrell. You see that beautiful block by Manira Bushi, the pancake to pave the way for his quarterback at a fresh set of downs.
1st and 10 from the 14-yard line. That is Gum.
Gum on the carry.
Getting to inside the 10.
Yeah, right now, if you're a St. Anthony's fan, you're looking for your defensive line to get some pressure. So far, Moy's been pretty comfortable back there. Been a lot of instances where those two safeties, both Moore and Rooney, are flying up and making the play, but in an ideal world, it should never get to those guys if you're a Friar fan.
2nd and 8. Another handoff up the middle. Touchdown, Monsignor Farrell. Kevin Gum.
Kevin Gum picks up right where he left off last week for St. Peter's. A huge play for the senior running back who's averaging over 10 yards a carry on the year and makes this one look easy. He could have driven a Mack truck through that hole, and Farrell takes a 6-0 lead on the road. Hey, we're here with the little dance in the end zone.
His 9th rushing touchdown of the year. It is Jake Burrows to kick. Dylan DeBella is your long snapper, and Biagio Di Aquino will be your holder.
Yeah, Dylan, I can guarantee there's some good Sunday sauces on Sunday mornings for these Farrell kids.
You just pick any household.
Can't go wrong.
And that kick is a low one, but it gets right over for the PAT. So it is Farrell that draws first blood. And you mentioned those offensive linemen. We'll shout those guys out now. It's crazy to think from your starting O-line, only your boy, the big cannoli, an underclassman. The rest of these guys, tough players and a lot of movement, right? Where you had a guy like Spatola, he was a center last year, he's at left guard. Lombardi moved from right guard last year to center. And then in Ibushi, he is a 4-year player who has just battled his way, was creeping at the door, was the 6th offensive lineman the first 2 weeks, but he has since won the job.
Yeah, and that experience really showing through up front. They played some dominant football here through about a quarter and a half at St. Anthony's, and that's been the key difference in the game.
And by the way, sorry, Mr. Student Body Vice President, didn't mean to leave out Thomas Costello there, another 4-year player as well, a converted defensive lineman who has bought in to playing offensive line.
You start to hear the Farrell faithful who made that long trip in the stands getting into it. Big Farrell chants going off at Cy Donnelly Field, which can't feel good for the black and gold.
I will say, in the 5 boroughs, there is nothing quite like Friday night at the Lions Den, man. It is such a fun experience at Monsignor Farrell.
Yeah, you meet a Farrell alum, they're always proud and happy to talk about their football program.
It was fielded by the up man. It was like a ground ball up the middle.
On the return.
Yes, Noah Allen right there.
He really attacked that ball.
Yeah. 6'1", 175-pounder from Central Islip does a really good job. And, you know, that field position battle thus far has really swung in favor of Monsignor Farrell, but all of a sudden a short field for St. Anthony's to work with. We'll see what Anthony DeLesso and company are able to cook up right here.
First and 10 Friars from the 37.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for St. Anthony's from their own 37-yard line. And DeLesso is a guy who, listen, this is not the easiest offense to jump in as a sophomore. Right, a lot is asked of you, not only after the play, but before it as well. There's a nice out, but only a short grab there by Skandaris. As again, good pursuit to the football by Farrell.
David Leverock, the junior strong safety, flew up on that one.
2nd and 9.
Really nothing going outside of the play of Bala so far for the St. Anthony's. Oh, really going to have to get some of these experienced receivers into the game. They're going to have a chance of success.
You got trips left right now. Another handoff, a faked handoff, excuse me, DeLesso. He does go downfield, finds one of those experienced receivers. And Pat Godfrey, your offensive coordinator here, calls it as Mancaruso gets the touchdown.
Yeah, Anthony Mancaruso, 6'1", 200-pound senior, just what the doctor ordered with the big play, and breathed new life into the St. Anthony's team. Great play fake. Really all starts with Anthony DeLesso up front. Got the bite from the secondary and able to beat him over the top.
And unfortunately, Pat, you take those points off the board.
Has a 5-yard penalty.
Costly penalty against the Friars.
Is that an illegal man downfield? Believe that might have been the case. Always tough for offensive linemen when you're trying to show run. You block that play like it's a run, rely on your quarterback to get the ball out of his hands, and they're just too far downfield.
This time the pass goes to Bala. He tries to avoid as many Lions as he could. Finally gets tackled by Dan Mastrogiulio.
When we were talking to Rocco Del Priore going into this game, one thing he really harped on is getting a lot of hats to the ball. It's not easy to bring down the likes of Xavier Bala, so they knew that every time it's going to have to be a group effort, 3, 4, 5 guys. And so far, this Farrell defense really bringing the intensity and taking care of business.
Over the middle, what a grab! And again, you called it. Let's find some of our receivers. And that goes over the middle to Rory McDermott, a big size sophomore at 6'2", 200.
Yeah, we talk about the relative experience of this receiving core, but this time around, the youngster steps up over the middle. And that takes a lot of courage catching a ball where you know you're about to take a lick. That time around, able to move the sticks and breathe some new life into that offense.
And there's McDermott again. And this is 2 sophomores, right? You feel like this is going to be a budding partnership for a couple of years to come. McDermott loses the lid, so he's got to sit out a play here. But his grab has breathed some new life. I mean, to be fair, I think the touchdown did, despite the penalty.
kind of similar like to what we saw for Farrell on the previous drive. Had a big play called back and then able to punch it through. We'll see if St. Anthony's able to finish off this drive.
And here is Mancaruso. And again, some really quality tackling. This time, again, we called his name a few times, right? Vento, double deuce, but it'll be a St. Anthony's first and goal.
And in this situation, first and goal from the 6. If I'm dialing up players for St. Anthony's, I'm saying, hey, can you stop big number 14 4 times in a row?
Bala, what a change of direction. Touchdown, St. Anthony's. A 7-yard touchdown run for Xavier Bala.
And it's just so impressive seeing this guy out here who could run over anybody on any given play. Use that quickness this time around. Bala with the little stutter step, get upfield, and break some ankles on the way into the end zone to tie this one up.
Dean Novellino is your kicker. Mason Carreras, your holder. And it'll be Nick Zank as your long snapper. The kick is up, and it is good. So Xavier Bala ties things up. And we talk about Bala. This is a guy who's got a lot of interest collegiately, right, Pat? You look at his recruiting.
Yeah.
How about Virginia, Minnesota, Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State, Nebraska, Maryland, Boise State, Eastern Michigan, Temple, UMass, UConn, BC, Buffalo, Rutgers, Stony Brook, Bowling Green, and Syracuse.
Yeah, this guy's a 4-star recruit, and we're seeing so far why that's the case. He's got real size. When you talk to Coach Del Priore from Farrell as he was preparing for this St. Anthony's attack, he said Bala looks every bit the part of a Big Ten running back, and that's the reason why right now the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country are both hot on his tail from a recruiting perspective.
So Del Priore's telling him where to go, right? Head to the Big Ten. Rutgers is in play.
Rutgers in play. I'm sure Kalen DeBoer down in Alabama would like to have a word about that.
I think there's probably a group text at some point. KJ, Ian, and Xavier.
Let's get the band back together.
So big response by St. Anthony's. Xavier Bala's touchdown has tied this one. Novellino's kickoff fielded at about the 6-yard line. And look at this return. Some more broken tackles. Up the left sideline. A massive return.
For Gianni Pasqualone right there. We've seen him get it done on the offensive side of the ball. This time around, special teams with the huge return and shift momentum back in Farrell's favor. Just great job. Broken tackles. Exercise that speed a little bit as he gets the edge. And what a huge swing in momentum, setting up some great field position for Moy and company.
So what do we say? He started at about a 6, and Farrell takes over at the St. Anthony's 37-yard line.
Impressive special teams effort thus far for Farrell.
Here's Moy, back to pass, flushed out, tucks it under, and Moy, nice run under duress. He's taken down at the 30.
That's such a dangerous wrinkle in Bryce Moy's game. You know, he's got as strong an arm as you'll see in the Catholic High School Football League, but when he decides he wants to run it, he's got a big 200-pound frame and some wheels underneath him. Can be real dangerous.
Hand off to Gum, who just hits the hole so hard, and he'll push the chains for a Farrell first down.
Right there, Gum brought down by senior linebacker Dave McHugh, and for St. Anthony's, they're really going to want to get that linebacker core going a little bit more. Been a quiet game thus far for that group.
Yeah, Pat, you talk about specials, right? How about Gum even on specials, right? A blocked punt, a blocked PAT already this year.
Here's Houston.
Yeah, a little change here as Houston taken down at about the 21-yard line. Houston's so dynamic, 3-year varsity player, 2-way starter. He was the nominee last year for the Fugazi Award, which is for the best player on Staten Island.
Second and 4.
And I'm telling you guys, his skill set is not a fugazi.
That was a good one.
Yeah, try.
Here's Moy. Wow, what a grab. That looked like he was headed to the sideline. And Pascaloni, man, got on his ladder there. Used all 5'10" of his frame.
Impressive catch by Pascaloni, but number 11, Ethan Bramoff, the linebacker for St. Anthony's, with a nice open field tackle against a guy who's proven so slippery here tonight.
Hard to believe this is only the second year of football for Ethan Bramoff, a high-level lacrosse commit heading to Virginia to play lacrosse. Keeps that kind of lineage going, right, with the lacrosse football athletes for St. Anthony's.
Seems like that's always part of the playbook here in South Huntington is, hey, we're going to have a couple guys who are going to go on to play Division I football, but also a host of guys who are elite in the spring as well. Danny Rooney, also a Maryland lacrosse commit. The whole ACC represented out here today.
Moy, slippery, in and out of the hands of Braxton Moy.
Intended for Braxton Moy.
And that's fortunate for the Friars that Braxton Moy wasn't able to reel that one in because he had some daylight to run. All of a sudden looking at a 3rd and long type situation, obvious passing scenario, and right now I'm looking to the likes of Brendan Shaughnessy, Rohith Jampali, DJ Garcia, who can get something going on the defensive line and apply some pressure for a quarterback in Moy that hasn't been touched all too much today.
Moy, back across his body, that is caught, the cut inside, but good pursuit there by the Friars defensively, leading the charge, Noah Allen.
And that's what you need to see more of from the St. Anthony's defense, gang tackling. Kevin Gum, not the kind of guy you can bring down one-on-one. Right there, 3 or 4 Friars flying to the ball.
Well, 4 down territory again, you would think, certainly for Monsignor Farrell. Ball at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, kind of no man's land, right? Typically, you don't want to put your sophomore quarterback in a 4th and 15 situation, but here, too close to punt it, and a 47-yarder not too feasible.
Empty
for a high school
backfield.
kicker.
Sorry, Pat. An empty backfield, trips right for Farrell. And Rocco Del Priori and his staff will talk it over. When you look at Bryce Moy, though, listen, it's a bigger frame, but there's some similarities to Richie Beelan, don't you think? Just in the way that he plays.
And that's a huge compliment for fans of the Catholic High School Football League the last couple years. Richie Beelan, as talented as they come, now playing at the next level for Syracuse. But yeah, Moy, just a really impressive guy. Between just the calmness that he brings out there in these high pressure situations, his ability to tuck it and run when he needs to, but also distribute the ball out to the edge to his brother and a whole host of Lions who can really make you pay on the back end. And
you see Moy, the Beelan boys were separate years, right? Or actually, no, you know what? You had his twin brother.
Defensive line.
Looked a little bit different, though.
Who's now at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bryce Moy, if you could really
Blake Beelan. Sorry, didn't.
Blake Beelan, exactly. Yeah, but Bryce Moy, if you could create a high school quarterback in a lab, 6'2", 200 pounds, is only a sophomore. He's about as good as they get.
Well, let's see what they've got drawn up here. Moy, back to pass, fires it over the middle. Incomplete. So a turnover on downs, and St. Anthony's will take over.
That's a turnover on
That's a big stop right there for the Friar D that have been getting pushed around a little bit in the early goings of this game. Kind of regained some confidence with 4 minutes on the clock in this first half. An opportunity for that offense led by Anthony DeLesso to march down and try and take a lead going into halftime.
Yeah, we mentioned it at the start. Certainly some incredibly talented quarterbacks these last, 4 years, 5 years, right, at St. Anthony's. The question was a couple years ago, how do you replace Dante Torres? And then Gary Merrill, who initially was in a quarterback competition, answered that bell. And how about that tackle by Michael Insulaco?
Caruso.
Yeah, it's big shoes to fill out here for Anthony DeLesso, but good news for him is as only a sophomore, he's got a lot of time to kind of grow into this program. He's a guy who Joe Minucci really believes in, and it's just kind of that continued development week over week. You get into these situations, and you succeed, helps you build a lot of confidence.
And he's got receivers in Johnny Russo, who makes that grab there, and Anthony Mancaruso, a pair of seniors who have been through a lot of these wars these last couple of years.
And don't think that these guys have forgotten that 23 loss to Monsignor Farrell when they got upset here a couple years ago. Definitely looking to avenge it out here tonight.
Yeah, one of my core memories from that one was Rocco Del Priore just running around like a madman. He looked like Jimmy Valvano for NC State after they won the championship.
As a guy who lost a couple championship games to St. Anthony's back in high school, I'm sure it was personal for him.
False start on the offense. So it's now a 3rd and 10 for St. Anthony's.
3rd and 10 from the 30.
And when you talk about the offensive line for the Friars, really it's just that left tackle, Bryce Chanchuli. He's the leader, followed in his brother Carson's footsteps. But the rest of these guys all learning on the job. Pass over the middle, spinning outside the 35-yard line.
Leverock with the stop. 4th and 4 from the 36.
So it'll be a 4th down. I think that was that Procops over the middle?
Dylan, you surprised to see the offense still out on the field, given the field position right here?
Maybe some cadence here, I think, out of St. Anthony's.
Fair, still got a couple timeouts in the pocket. If you're Joe Minucci, might as well use it.
I think that's what he's going to do now. So try to draw them off. Let's bleed this clock a little bit. One cool thing here, because of the lacrosse season, you have the play clock as well to our right. So you can see it down to 5 and 4. And then Minucci right next to the official saying, let's call a timeout here. And he will at 1 second left. But that gives us an opportunity, as we were just talking about the offensive line, to show those guys. And here is a look at a relatively young, listen, you got a pair of sophomores on the O-line as well, and Brody Hoffman and Justin Joseph.
Yeah, Farrell and Scalise doing a good job out here. And this is really a unit that just continues to improve week over week. It's tough to simulate these big game environments. You really just got to get in there and over time build up some more confidence. But they're holding up front, doing a decent job paving some lanes for Xavier Bala. But they're really going to have their hands full with how strong this Farrell defensive line has been all year long.
And as you mentioned, Bryce Chanchuli's older brother, Carson, in that same position, right? The Chanchuli boys from my hometown of Oakdale. Carson now a junior at Ithaca, doing his thing there on the defensive line.
Been a lot of fun calling these guys through the years. Apologies to Bryce. I know I've called you Carson quite a few times in the past. I won't make that mistake tonight. But they go for it.
They do. It's Kevin Moore, who also is the punter, but Farrell having none of it. The Lions bringing it on the defensive side.
One of the oldest adages in football, but really special teams is 1/3 of the game. And thus far, Monsignor Farrell dominating that portion. St. Anthony's hoping to catch him off guard, but the Farrell punt return was in kind of a safe unit, looking out for it, and they read that one all the way. Nowhere to go for number 2.
Yeah, sorry, Pat. Andrew Doyle, the middle linebacker. His dad, Ray, played for Farrell back in the day. Tore his ACL against St. Anthony's last year. 9 months later, started his first game against South Shore from Brooklyn. So big tackle there, and great field position here inside the final 2 minutes and 4 seconds of the first half. Empty backfield, Moy, quick out, kind of blowing a tire there on the far side was Houston, but a big first down reception.
So a minute 45 or so left on the clock. You don't have to rush it here, but they'll continue doing that kind of hurry-up offense we've seen throughout the first half.
And another grab and a first down. Ryan Tate, 6'3", 190. A program kid. His brother Christian, a former captain, played at Bucknell as well.
And just a heads-up play, also known to get out of bounds right there. Stop the clock, give them the chance to kind of catch their breath as they try and march in and take the lead going into halftime.
Yeah, they've got a 1st and 10 from the St. Anthony's 14. Moy takes it himself.
On the carry.
A nice looking carry.
Brought down by Rooney.
Looks like Rooney in on the tackle.
And as we see these safeties and Rooney and Moore flying up earlier and earlier, got to be weary of them trying to hit you over the top with the kind of receiver talent that Farrell brings to the table.
From the 10.
2nd and 4. Oh, Moy takes a good bounce for him, and there is that heads-up play by Moy. That could have been disaster, Pat, for Farrell, but then Moy, that football acumen.
Yeah, it's just smart football right there. Knowing that you got a receiver in the area and Ryan Tate, so you avoid the intentional grounding, and able to set up a 3rd and manageable when you could have had a disaster right there on 2nd down.
Yeah, you could still get a 1st down here if you are Monsignor Farrell with 64 seconds left in the 1st half. Handoff. Gum powers forward. Touchdown, Monsignor Farrell. Kevin Gum, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the 1st half.
Pretty special when you're talking about still in the month of September. That's his 10th touchdown on the year for number 0. And you got to ascribe this all to number 77, Dom Spatola, who's his lead blocker. You'll see him pulling out in front, does a good job just opening up that hole. And then Gum does the rest, lowers his shoulder, breaks a tackle, and sets up a 7-point lead here going at the half.
Extra point is good.
And the extra point is up, and it is good. And Monsignor Farrell, inside the final minute, they've got a 7-point lead. Really impressed from the boys from the Forgotten Borough of Staten Island here in this 1st half.
Yeah, really impressive effort right there. They make St. Anthony's pay for the aggressive call, faking the punt, and you give them a 30-yard field to go in. That's slight work for Gum, Moy, and company. One more time looking at that touchdown run. Couple of lead blockers out there in front for him. Nice job by Johnny Fahim as well.
And A.J. Lombardi, right, 75, joining Spatola to open up that hole. That was a big one for Gum. 2nd rushing touchdown. His 1st was 12 yards. His 2nd, 10 yards.
So right now, St. Anthony's still has a timeout in their back pocket. 59 seconds left. They're going to try and get aggressive here because remember, Dylan, Farrell will be receiving to start the 2nd half.
Yeah, deep you've got Bala and Moore. Burrows, a line drive kick, fielded at about the 2. Moore turns this way. What an open field hit.
More on the return.
That was Dan Mastrojulio.
There he is again. Look at the neck pad. Let's follow him. That is old school at its best.
Old school football right there. And special teams is all about no fear. Flies down at about 100 miles an hour, and that's a hit that Kevin Moore is going to be feeling tomorrow morning.
Mastro. Terrific hit. So here comes St. Anthony's now. 52 seconds left in the 1st half. They've got 1 timeout remaining.
This is a situation where I'd expect Joe Minucci to get aggressive. As I mentioned, Farrell's going to start off the 2nd half with the ball, so they'd really love to, even if they could just get into field goal range, give their kicker a shot here before halftime.
That's the last thing you want if you're St. Anthony's, a false start. So they'll back them up 5 more yards.
That's where that relative inexperience of an offensive line can start to cost you a little bit. It's tough. You start pressing, and all of a sudden, little mistakes start adding up.
So a 1st and 15. DeLesso flushed out, chased down, tries to go over the middle, diving grab, incomplete.
It's a nice effort right there by Prokop, but
I think that was actually Scandaris 6. I see what happened there, but good pursuit by Andrew Doyle.
Andrew Doyle, we mentioned him earlier. So Costello on the offensive line, the vice president of the student body, Doyle the president.
Listen, on these long trips, you could talk.
Get some politics going.
Yeah.
Hey,
Listen, the senior class. What's going to be the gift this year?
Doyle Costello, 26. What a combo.
That is a completed pass over the middle. And there's Scandaris again. Clock, though, is running.
And all of a sudden, I think if you're St. Anthony's, you kind of slow this one down. The likelihood of being able to drive down the field with such little time, pretty slim. So
yeah, you don't even have to run a play here.
Yeah,
you can hear the Farrell crowd to our left, loving what they're seeing from their Lions in this first half.
Yeah, Farrell really brought the intensity off the bus. We wondered what that Ryder Cup traffic was going to do. Is there going to be a little hangover after that 3-hour bus ride? But absolutely not. Firing on all cylinders here for the first 2 quarters.
Yeah, their crowd as rowdy as the U.S. crowd at the Ryder Cup.
14-7.
But what a first half by Monsignor Farrell, led by Kevin Gum.
Yeah, Kevin Gum knows how to follow that experienced offensive line. He did so all day long in that first half. And you see why he's one of the most talented running backs in the league.
Yeah, Gum. Saw them breaking tackles and then breaking some hearts as well. Gets the push from the O-line. His second rushing touchdown of the first half, and Monsignor Farrell has the 7-point lead. You're watching this Catholic AAA Showdown presented by Catholic Health right here in the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
At St. Francis Heart Center, we're not just regional heart experts. We share our greater success with the world. We don't just pioneer technology. We do it more than anywhere on Greater Long Island. And we don't just win awards. We deliver greater outcomes for people like you. As New York's only specialty designated cardiac center, we're not satisfied with just being good. This is Long Island. This is St. Francis Heart Center. And greater lives here.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships. Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
If you're looking to optimize your sporting event, look no further than Varsity Media's coverage. Since working with them over the course of the past 4 years through the Elite 5 New York City Football Showcase, their coverage has helped take us to the top.
Varsity Media does an unbelievable job in terms of the broadcast, backgrounds on kids, do a great job of exposure from top to bottom. I couldn't really say anything negative. It's been a great couple of years that we've been working together, and it's just fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, the fact that you guys are here has helped grow it, really. I mean, Varsity Media's been a good partner with us now for the last couple of years. That brings this game to a much broader audience.
The level of detail and that you go to, I mean, obviously the announcers, the camera angles, the slow motions, I mean, you feel like it's being covered by, ESPN.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media @Varsity Media.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
There's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! City!
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves. You've seen the dedication, the long hours, the early mornings, the sacrifice. You know your athlete has what it takes, but how do you make sure the right people see it? The recruiting process isn't easy. Coaches are flooded with highlights, but how do you stand out in the crowd? At Varsity Media, we specialize in creating game-changing ISO videos, high-definition, athlete-focused footage that highlights exactly what college recruiters want to see. With our up-close ISO video, we capture your athlete's key moments. No more wide angles showing other players. This is just your athlete's pure, raw talent. This is more than a video. This is the opportunity your athlete deserves. Give your athlete the edge they need. Make the right impression with Varsity Media's ISO video service. The future starts now. Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
welcome back to Cy Donnelly Field in South Huntington. It is Friday Night Lights, and it is the visitors from Staten Island who have a 14-7 lead. Monsignor Farrell, St. Anthony's, we welcome you inside the booth here. Dylan Butler alongside Pat Godfrey. An entertaining first half. The defense, certainly of Monsignor Farrell, has showed out. And we've also seen some special running backs. We thought we would certainly see one in number 14 in black and gold, but we also have seen one in number 0 in white for Monsignor Farrell and Kevin Gum.
Yeah, Kevin Gum of the two backs, maybe been the more impressive tonight. This is a guy coming into the game who was averaging close to 10 yards a carry, and he's really just continued on that same trajectory he's been on all year long. Scored his 10th touchdown of the year there in the second quarter, and just been a really, really impressive showing by both Gum as well as the Farrell offensive line.
And no doubt, let's take a look at some of those first half highlights, and Kevin Gum certainly getting the party started right here, Pat.
Yeah, he does a good job just following his blockers. That's a big, nice hole for him. He's not going to have an easier touchdown all season, and a little bit of dance in the end zone to let him know that the boys of Staten Island are here. There you go, Bala, a guy who is as big a recruit as anybody in New York, does a little shimmy, big 215-pounder, makes a man miss, and silences the Farrell crowd, who have been lively, to say the least, out here tonight. But then Gum, before the half was over, came back and said, how about this? Lowers the shoulder, punches it in, 14-7 Farrell. And he's trying to say, hey, Wagner, Coach Tomasello, maybe time to give me a look. And I think if he keeps playing like this, he's going to have a host of Division I offers before this season's over.
The lights are bright here at Cy Donnelly Field. Let's see who shows up in the second half, as it is Monsignor Farrell with a 14-7 lead. You're watching this Catholic High School AAA showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
It's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. For a Profeta! Profeta! 1-0! Garden City!
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Back at Cy Donnelly Field, Dylan Butler, Pat Godfrey, our entire Varsity Media crew. Always great to be out here on a Friday night. As you saw, the Lions from Monsignor Farrell. Not the longest trip you can make, but certainly among them, right? When you make the trip from Staten Island, what did we book it at? 57.6 miles, according to Google.
You can imagine electric traffic today with the Ryder Cup in town. But certainly no rust showing for Farrell early on in this game. They really got out to a hot start and haven't looked back. Now time for St. Anthony to see if they get a stop on defense to prevent this one from getting out of hand.
And Rocco Del Priori said it, right? We're not going to – we hope to get there by 5, but if we get there at 6:15, if we get there at 6:30, we're not winning or losing this game because of the bus ride, right? It's about the 48 minutes that we're playing. The first 24 have been very good for Monsignor Farrell.
Yeah, and really all three phases of the game. On defense, they've been flying to the ball, getting a lot of hats up there to stop the likes of Xavier Bala. On offense, really throwing a lot of different weapons at the St. Anthony's D. And then also on special teams, really making a big difference, led by Gianni Pascalone, who's set back to return.
He is, along with Alex Houston. As kicking off for St. Anthony's, Di Novolino.
I'd imagine Coach Joe Minucci probably gave an inspired pep talk back in the locker room for St. Anthony's. Got to really bring the intensity. Farrell seemed like the more intense team out here thus far on Friday night.
So the third quarter, off and running, or at least we thought it would be. A flag, and we saw a lot of flags in that first half.
You know, part of it a function being still relatively early in this season. These teams still finding themselves. We talked about St. Anthony's, the younger of the two teams out here today. But both teams had some costly penalties in that first half. They'll look to get cleaned up because whoever plays the cleaner ball game here in the second half will walk away victorious.
We didn't have the numbers, but I think you would say probably more on St. Anthony's, right, in that first half. This one also against the Friars. So Houston and Pascaloni can push themselves up another 5 yards, as they're at about the 15-yard line. And now the third quarter is off. It's Houston, fumbles it, recovers it at the 25, and he is downed inside his own 40. So this brings Bryce Moy out onto the field. A really good-looking first half from him. We mentioned Kevin Gum and his 2 rushing touchdowns, but Moy has done a good job of running this Farrell offense.
Yeah, he's done a great job taking care of the ball. We saw a few heads-up plays there in that first half, and they're going to look to keep that going. It's a talented enough offense to where if you don't make mistakes, it's really hard for opposing defenses to get off the field.
High snap. Back to the running game. Another broken tackle. And look at Kevin Gum go. Downed at the St. Anthony's 40-yard line.
Really impressive play right there by Kevin Gum, picking up where he left off. More broken tackles, the spin move, and eventually brought down by Robert Hommel.
And there goes Gum again into the secondary. Gum!
Just making this look too easy. They've gone back-to-back behind that left side of the offensive line for Farrell. Big Carlo Della Ragione and Dom Spatola having a night out here.
What a start to the third quarter for the Lions. 1st and 10 from the St. Anthony's 15-yard line. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. They go back to Gum, but this time the DJ shows up, DJ Garcia.
DJ Garcia does a really good job just kind of slipping underneath Spatola, the pulling lineman, and that time around, nothing going for Kevin Gum to set up a 2nd and 12.
In this 3-man front for St. Anthony's, he is that returning starter. 6'2", 250 out of Lindenhurst.
17 from the 17-yard line.
Gum tries a reverse course.
Gum on the carry.
And he's now finding it a little bit more difficult as the St. Anthony's defense tightens up a little bit.
As I mentioned that first half, it wasn't a pretty showing from the front 7 at times for St. Anthony's, but right here as they get into the red zone, starting to buckle down a little bit, and things have gotten harder for Farrell as they've gotten into plus territory throughout this night.
Now Gum goes out as a receiver, part of that trips right. Empty backfield for Moy. Takes it himself. What a play fake. Bryce Moy. Touchdown, Monsignor Farrell.
I love this play call right here for Monsignor Farrell. They go into a 5 wide receiver set, send the man in motion to kind of draw the defense moving laterally, and that really opens things up for Bryce Moy. You see, nice big hole right there, and rumbling at 200 pounds right up the middle. Not easy to bring him down. And he's pumped up as he gives his offense a 2-touchdown lead.
Jake Burrows to attempt the PAT. Dylan DeBella is your long snapper. The holder, Biagio, Diaquino. And that kick is up and good. And the boys from Staten Island now have a 2-touchdown lead.
The last thing you wanted to see as a St. Anthony's fan, and all of a sudden dig a hole for your sophomore quarterback.
This is the start of a busy weekend for us on the Varsity Media Sports Network. We stay in the Catholic High School League. We go St. John the Baptist at Kellenberg. Beautiful facility there on campus at Kellenberg. That'll be a 1:30 kick. And then I will be over in Rockville Center for a Nassau Conference 3 showdown as Cary, the defending Long Island champions in Conference 2, take on Southside. Those are two of the top 3 preseason seeds in Nassau Conference 3. Both teams off to a 2-0 start. Opening kickoff there at 2 o'clock.
And Dylan, you can only hope that Cary Southside matchup is as fun as the last Nassau 1 vs. 3 matchup that we saw, with a huge game between Oceanside and Farmingdale at 500 yards.
Well, 495, that's the new nickname, I think, for Josh Kama. I think that's Scandaris. But, yeah, the one thing I hope for out of that game is at least it's not nearly 4 hours.
But for the fans at home, you know, the more varsity media, the better. So I won't be in the booth for that one. I can only hope it goes 4 hours.
Yeah, I thought you were my friend. No, but listen, if you want to relive any of that game, that Farmingdale Oceanside game a week ago at Oceanside, you could check it out on our YouTube channel. 11,000 views and counting for that one. As you mentioned, Josh Kama, you can hit that subscribe button in the top left. Ran for a Long Island record, 495 yards, 7 touchdowns. Big win for the Dalers. That's Xavier Bala with the first down run for St. Anthony's.
A lot of people think that Josh Kama is the best running back on Long Island, but Xavier Bala has something to say about that. They're really going to need that junior to get going for St. Anthony's offense. They look to claw back into this game.
Another handoff comes his way, lowers his shoulder, stops short of the first down marker. There he is again, Dan Mastro Giulio. And actually, they will move the chains.
It's really a huge drive for this Friars offense. Hate to be down 2 touchdowns, but you got to keep doing what you do best. Don't think that you have to go and air out the ball every play.
And that a completion to Johnny Russo. But making sure he goes nowhere is Libretta. He's a guy who, you know, unfortunately, we talked about it before we were on air. Unfortunately, more Catholic, right? Ceased their football program, which gave those players an opportunity to transfer elsewhere. Libretta, one of those guys, was one of their top receivers a year ago. Bala going nowhere, and those are the two dudes we've called all game long. 28, Mastro Giulio, and your boy, Double Deuce, Anthony Vento.
Really impressive, just the kind of passion these guys play the game of football with. That's a big man that they're knocking back. And Anthony Vento, every time he flies up, it is with bad intentions.
3rd and long for the Friars. Fake handoff, throw over the middle, nearly picked off. Man, Charlie Costanzo, the talented sophomore, nearly got the pick.
Yeah, Costanzo already has 2 interceptions on the year and almost had his 3rd right there. Does a great job of reading DeLesos' eyes the whole play, steps into that lane, forces another punt from St. Anthony's.
Libretta will go back deep. It'll be Kevin Moore on to punt for St. Anthony's. The last time they tried this, it was a fake, an unsuccessful one.
In their own territory. This time around in Farrell territory, they're actually going to punt it.
And a good-looking punt from the Delaware commit. And you can see Rocco Del Priore. I just love his energy, man. He is all energy all the time. Right away, waving the arm, stay away, stay away.
He reminds me of a guy I played for, Brent Venables, who's having a great season at Oklahoma right now. Just kind of the Energizer Bunny, always bringing it. And when that's the leader of your program, it's hard for it not to be contagious.
And as we said in the open, like, this is who he wants to be. He doesn't have those aspirations of going on and coaching collegiately or going somewhere else. This is his home, and he's got that Farrell maroon in his blood. 1st and 10 for the Lions.
1st and 10, Monsignor Farrell.
Here is Moy. Trying to go back the other way. A little bit of trickery. Read well, though, by DJ Garcia. And that'll be, I think, it'll be a loss on first down.
Looks like Dave McHugh also in on that stop. And he's a guy, even though a bit undersized at 5'10", 185, playing the inside backer spot. He's a real scrappy dude. He's a Hobart Lax commit, another one of those St. Anthony's lacrosse/football guys. And they're going to need that linebacker core to get going here.
Another positive run by Kevin Gum.
Ball off at the stop.
All of a sudden, get to a 3rd and 6 situation. There's so many different options within the playbook for Monsignor Farrell.
Here comes Moy. Flushed out right, now tucks it under, cuts inside. There's a host of tacklers, but you know what? He'll move the chains.
That's a really good job by Bryce Moy. Nothing open downfield, really good coverage by that secondary of St. Anthony's. Just steps up, knows where the sticks are.
We can't see his eyes, he'll come our way. But I think he glances over right at the sticks. Right there, he kind of knew exactly where to go. All right, I'll go down now. I'm not gonna try to do too much.
High IQ football.
Kevin Gum has been a problem today for St. Anthony's.
Dylan, doesn't it seem like almost every time Gum gets tackled, it's by like a shoestring? Every play seems like he could be liable to bust it open and big.
I think it starts because he's just shot out of a cannon, right, when he carries the football. And there he goes again, and he moves the chains again. Put together, 5'10", 190 senior. And captain, we mentioned a workhorse. He's that high motor, high energy kind of guy as well.
Yeah, he hasn't lost a step. They've really been dialing up his number consistently all night long. And he looks as fresh as could be.
Yeah, Minucci frustrated. Has to call a timeout here.
This right here is a huge drive for the St. Anthony's defense. You know, your back's up against the wall, down 2 touchdowns at home. In danger of this one being blown wide open. Really got to dig in here and see what you can muster up. And I think that's kind of the message from Joe Minucci during this timeout.
We take a look, Pat, at their upcoming schedule. You see a lot of asterisks there. That's because all of those games, well, at least 4 of them, we're not heading to White Plains, but next weekend, Iona Prep, the Friday after, Cardinal Hayes, they both come to South Huntington. And then that game you always circle the calendar for at Chaminade in Mineola at Gold Star Stadium. That'll be a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, St. Anthony's has their work cut out for them these next couple weeks. Gum this week, and then Crew Davis, the North Carolina commit for Iona next week.
There goes Gum again. Gets the push from the boys up front. And again, your O-line, all but one senior. The only junior, by the way, Della Ragione at 6'2", 315. But he's a 2-year starter. And sometimes, Pat, the game of football becomes that simplistic, doesn't it? It is a battle at the point of contact, at the line.
You know, 9 times out of 10, the team that's more physical up front is going to win out in the end. And thus far, it's really just been tough sledding for St. Anthony's against this experienced and big offensive line for Monsignor Farrell.
3rd and 7. You've got trips right for Farrell. Empty backfield from Moy. He's got time. Goes over the middle. Nearly caught. But there is a flag.
Right there, John Drew does a good job flying up. We'll see what the flag is on this one, but
it was Lucas Schettino who went for the grab.
And yeah, kind of gets spun around, lands awkwardly. Got to hope that Schettino is all right.
And they're going to call a personal foul against the Friars.
Looks like it's on Ethan Bramoff. Would have to see. Maybe as a late hit on Bryce Moy.
And there's our official, our referee, Jimmy Graham. Let's take another look, Pat.
That doesn't appear to be where the flag came in. That's a hard hit right there, but clean in my book. Joe Minucci unhappy on the sideline, thought his defense had finally gotten off the field, but instead a fresh set of downs for Monsignor Farrell.
See if we see anything here on the wider angle.
Personal foul penalty against the Flyers.
I don't think it was like it couldn't have been like a taunting thing right there. And that's where the flag came out. But it seemed like they were just celebrating a stop, right?
Yeah, that's a tough turn of events right there. Football's an emotional game. Those guys fired up, instead have to go put their hand back in the dirt.
Moy bounces it outside, breaks the first tackle, but then the second and third guys come in. And now the physicality is stepping up a little bit. And there is another late flag. So DJ Garcia looked like he was in on the tackle. It wasn't late, but then a response came from Farrell. And let's see if that's where the penalty is, Jimmy Graham.
And they always tend to see the second man out there.
And we'll show it to you again.
We'll see a replay.
Yeah, that's broken tackle. Watch 55 come in.
Garcia gets in there, is going to whip Moy backwards a little bit.
Down, but
and
there's
his
a
teammate right there, Johnny Fahim, doesn't like what he's seen. Trying to look out for his quarterback, but that's one of those self-inflicted wounds that Farrell's looking to avoid. And puts them way behind the sticks here. Looking at about a second and call it 25-30. A lot of passion in the stands here tonight. A lot of back and forth between the Friar faithful and that Farrell fan base who made this long trip out here to South Huntington.
Here is Moy. Again, off and running. Oh, man. He was hammered. Bringing the heat was Frankie boy, Frank Filiberto.
Frank Filiberto, not the biggest guy in the world, about 5'7", $175. But he's got some lead in his pencil, so to speak, and really brings the wood to Bryce Moy.
From the 36. On the 46.
So now we're looking at about a 3rd and 25 or so for Monsignor Farrell. Not much in the playbook for these situations.
Trips are left now. Quick out comes this way. Was trying to be Moy to Moy. Braxton unable to make the catch, and that's where you mentioned, right? Those self-inflicted wounds come up big. If it's an offensive holding penalty, we see so many times stalls drives. That time it was the unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah, what a huge turn of events. You know, you blink and it goes from Farrell driving in, potentially about to go up 3 scores, to all of a sudden punting the ball back to St. Anthony's and giving these Friars an opportunity to stay in this game.
Yeah, Burrows to punt. You see there, Johnny Russo is deep. It is a short punt, but it will take a Farrell bounce before it is downed at around the 27-yard line. Monsignor Farrell, a little more manageable in terms of the commute, right? They are home next weekend for Fordham Prep. They head up to New Rochelle to take on Iona Prep. And another one of those fun all Staten Island battles against St. Joe's C. And then Cardinal Hayes makes the trip to the Lions' Den.
You know, you talk about momentum at this point in the season. If they were able to emerge with a victory here on the road, you got to feel like Farrell will be in great shape for the rest of that march through AAA competition.
A little miscommunication there between DeLesso and Bala, but a broken play results in a big carry by the sophomore. That's what you like to see out of a sophomore.
Looks like that's going to move the sticks. And yeah, it's a wrinkle I'm sure Coach Minucci would like to see a little bit more from Anthony DeLesso, a guy with a really strong arm, but also, as you saw right there, very quick out in open space.
It has 17 carries for 82 yards coming into this one. A quick out towards that Monsignor Farrell sideline. And it was Scandaris, the junior from Douglaston, who made the reception.
St. Anthony's has gone to that well with the quick hitters out on the perimeter. quite a few times tonight. By and large, hasn't worked for them. But right there, 3 yards, keeps things moving in the right direction, sets up a 2nd and manageable.
DeLesso, look out, under pressure, over the middle. That is complete to Russo. But a flag is on the play.
Looks like this is going to be a roughing the passer on Monsignor Farrell. So
on now, Pat.
Another personal foul, and then all of a sudden it's turned into a nice drive down the field for St. Anthony's.
Not sure we'll catch the roughing the passer here, but
good job by DeLesso avoiding that first hit.
Yeah,
looks like Master Julio.
Well, he was
a little
behind.
bit late.
I think the other lineman who came up made the hit. Regardless, though, a big opportunity here for St. Anthony's. 1st and 10 from the 33-yard line. Here's Bala. Bounces it to the outside. Xavier Bala still, before he's forced out at the 26-yard line.
That's a nice job right there by Justin Joseph. Out on the right edge for St. Anthony's. The big pancake block paving the way for Bala. And a nice chunk of yardage on 1st down.
And this is certainly something, should St. Anthony score, that Rocco Del Priore will not like. 2 personal fouls on this drive. Here is Bala, just bouncing off of would-be tacklers and moving the chains for the Friars.
You're starting to see that impact of a 215-pounder who runs with great leverage. All of a sudden, as his game wears on, tougher and tougher to bring him down with 1 man. And Bala getting something going here in this 3rd quarter.
Here he comes again. Again, running towards the right. Perhaps St. Anthony's seeing something there on film. Because Bala keeps pushing it towards that right side, as you mentioned, behind a very big and talented sophomore in Justin Joseph.
Rocco Scalise, also no shrimp in his own right, playing right guard at 6'2", 285.
Rinse and repeat. Bala to the outside. Explodes it towards the end zone. Touchdown, St. Anthony's. A 13-yard rushing touchdown. His 2nd of the game for Xavier Bala.
Right here, you're going to see Xavier Bala just kind of hit that 2nd gear as he tiptoes down the sideline. He put in so much work in the offseason, develop his body, develop his balance, see that patience kick in, broken tackle, and then boom, tiptoes through the tulips for a St. Anthony's touchdown.
Dean Novellino on to kick. Mason Correas, your holder. Nick Zank is your long snapper. The kick is up, and it is good. So the Friars now have some new life, Pat, off of a couple of self-inflicted wounds for Monsignor Farrell. Xavier Bala, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. And we have a 1-touchdown score right now.
Dylan, football is such a game of momentum. And after those couple of personal fouls, all of a sudden, Monsignor Farrell opens the door for St. Anthony's to get back into this game. And a St. Anne's crowd that was rather quiet for most of this 3rd quarter really just got back into it over these last couple minutes.
So we'll see here what the next minute 48 of this 3rd quarter have in store. When these 2 teams met last year, it was out on Staten Island, and it was St. Anthony's with a 35-27 win. Gary Merrill in that game went 16 of 24 for 226. Also rushed for 2 touchdowns on 27 carries and for 168 yards. Will Hart had 6 receptions for 106 yards and a touchdown. Johnny Russo, 3 receptions for 89 yards and a score. Bala in that game, 14 carries for 78, had 6 receptions and 26 yards. Parker McDonald, a big INT and blocked punt PAT as well.
Yeah, every year when these teams meet, feels like it's a nail biter. And just as you were thinking this game is about to get blown open, all of a sudden we're right back in. It should be a good one down the stretch here at Cy Donnelly Field.
Yeah, short kick. It is downed as a fair catch was called.
I think that was a little bit of a misunderstanding right there by Braxton Moy. Now, at the college level, if you fair catch the ball, they will immediately move it to the 25-yard line. That rule does not exist in high school football, so starting at the 23 here for Farrell. A long ways to go through this Friar defense that has kind of found some new life in the last few minutes.
Rocco Del Priore said of St. Anthony's, yeah, we don't have Gary Merrill to worry about, but in so many ways it's the same old black and gold for St. Anthony's as they've shown for decades.
Always so much depth here at St. Anthony's, one of the bigger rosters every season in the AAA division. And we'll see how that affects the game as we work towards this fourth quarter.
That was Lucas Schettino with the run, a senior. First game of the season as there's an injury there for Monsignor Farrell along that St. Anthony's sideline. We mentioned Monsignor Farrell head coach Rocco Del Priore. He's got Joe Mariconda as his OC. Greg Rocco, former Moore Catholic and McKee Staten Island Tech head coach. He's the DC. And then you got Vin Minicello on specials. Bill Louisa used to be the OC back in 11 and 14. He runs the O-line. John Travers, your safeties coach. Russ Giambrone works with the corners. Frank Monti, the wide receivers. Michael Regan, tight ends, wide receivers. Anthony Panagakos with the running backs. Michael Fina with the outside linebackers.
Yeah, this is really a staff that pride themselves on family. A lot of continuity, guys who have been with this program for 15, 20 years. Vin Mincello, as we were talking to Rocco Del Priore, their special teams coordinator, has been with him for literally the last 20 years. That's kind of what it's all about out there at Monsignor Farrell. Sticking together as a family, operating as one unit. As we look at Kevin Gum, who appears to be cramping up on the sideline right now. Maybe that workload's starting to get the best of him.
He is still at that St. Anthony's sideline, and I think because he is as close as he is, right? He's right on that white line. A little bit of a safety issue, right, if you start the game up again. So both teams will go back to their huddles.
Scratch that. It's actually Gianni Pasqualone down for Farrell, a guy who we've seen have a huge game. That big kick return there in the first half, and as he limps off, can only hope that number 7's all right.
And not putting any pressure on that right leg, so there's a concern there for Gianni, the senior, who has impacted this game in all three levels tonight.
Yeah, going into this, Coach Del Priore told us we're really going to need him in this one, and they have. You know, he's really impacted the game in multiple ways as they wheel him off, and just hope he's all right.
So we start again with a 2nd and 1. Moy tries to call his own number, and that is not what you want. It's Rooney with the tackle, but he's going to get a personal foul for what happened after, a little taunting. And again, it is a game of emotions, but you've got to keep those emotions in check. Watts 24 after the play. That you can't do.
Yeah, Danny Rooney's fired up with the nice open field tackle, but all of a sudden you see those kind of dumb penalties hit St. Anthony's, whereas they've been really hurting Farrell so far in this half.
And listen, if you make that play and you turn around and you show that same emotion, that's not a penalty, right?
Exactly. Just can't stand over the guy, and I understand that. You know, sometimes emotions are running really high, but got to keep your wits about you, especially as a senior out there. Your team's counting on you.
That's the 4th personal foul of this 3rd quarter.
And Rooney right there flew up again, makes another nice tackle from that free safety spot.
And this time it was Vento with the carry.
Rooney again with the
We've
stop.
spoken about him so much on the defensive side. Anthony Vento came into this game with 8 carries for 89 yards inside the final minute of quarter number 3.
Yeah, they like to spell Kevin Gum with Vento.
And I think that's going to be the case here for the rest of the third quarter as well. And up goes to Vento, bounced off the first tackler, spins again. Vento, first down, Monsignor Farrell.
What a run right there. We've seen the physicality that he brings on the defensive side of the ball, but right there looked dead to rights early on in this play, but runs a great pad leverage, bounces off a couple would-be tacklers, spin move, and that's a new set of downs for Monsignor Farrell.
And if you are Monsignor Farrell, that is your quarterback of the future. He will be that guy when Kevin Gum graduates in June.
Got to feel like the program's in good hands with all the underclassmen stepping up here.
And the Lions will not have to run a play in this third quarter. So the Lions, as their crowd get loud here in South Huntington, they head to the fourth quarter with the lead. And number 0, actually Bryce Moy, a big part of it, the sophomore. Throw that ball into the net.
Making it look easy. Should be a fun fourth quarter, Dill.
21-14 is your score. Fourth quarter when we return to the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Hi, I'm Katie Ledecky. As an Olympic athlete, you might think staying healthy is easy for me. Truth is, we all face challenges. Keeping the right mindset is how we achieve our best personal performance. At Catholic Health, the same focus on wellness and prevention that I follow every day is the way they think too. That's why I'm teaming up with Catholic Health to help make healthcare even more positive, proactive, and personal for every person across Long Island. Long live you, and long live Long Island.
Back here at St. Anthony's, Friday Night Lights, a one-score game. We've got Pat Godfrey next to me. A flag is thrown on that run by Braxton Moy.
And right there, see Kevin Gum after taking a little bit of a breather at the end of the third quarter with new life in his legs. That one's coming back.
After barely calling his name in the first 2 quarters, Jimmy Graham has been very busy in this second half. As we said before the break, 4 personal fouls combined. I think we're even at 2 apiece, all in that third quarter.
Yeah, tension's running high, both out on the field and in the stands, though back and forth between Farrell and the Friars faithful.
About 12 from the 39.
And the ball's on the ground. Moy dives back for it. And the sophomore somehow gets it before Danny Rooney does.
What a job right there by Bryce Moy. After kind of the messed up exchange, that one's blown up in the backfield and somehow gets back on top of it in a game where we're yet to see our first turnover.
And
Looks
I
like
think
a
that
nice
was
job by Eli Sajor getting in there, creating some havoc. And all of a sudden, Farrell way behind the sticks on this second down.
Second and 21.
We got twin receivers at the bottom of your screen. There is the man of the hour. Kevin Gum makes up about 12 of those yards on that carry.
If you're just looking at yards after contact, Kevin Gum has just been dominant out here today. So slippery, runs with great leverage. And a bunch of arm tackles are not going to bring down Kevin Gum. You got to bring the wood to try and get number 0 to the ground.
3rd and 8.
Feels like a big moment right here in this game as Monsignor Farrell works to get a little bit more breathing room.
High snap, Moy takes it himself. and makes it a lot more manageable there with that carry inside the 30-yard line.
On the stop.
Not even a question here that Rocco Del Priore is going to leave his offense out on the field.
From the 19.
You had a good look there at Johnny Fahim, another sophomore, right? Converted linebacker at tight end. As St. Anthony's calls a timeout. As you take a look at Farrell, we mentioned it before, a little bit of the history, right? 5 AAA championships. They've made 13 appearances in the title game, has Monsignor Farrell. Their last 2 titles in 2000 and 1999, both against these Friars of St. Anthony's. Before that, in 1991, when a certain play-by-play guy was a senior at St. Francis Prep at St. John's University.
When the dynasty began.
They had a 22-17 win over the Terriers. Heartbreaking for me and a lot of my senior class. That was during a time when St. Francis Prep, led by Marco Battaglia, now such a big part of Rutgers, right, in the Hall of Fame, went on and played for the Bengals, Cincinnati.
Yeah, nice NFL career.
He was the guy. 3 straight AAA championships under the late great Vince O'Connor, and then Monsignor Farrell, our senior year at St. John's. Come on, did his third.
Stuff you never forget.
Here we go. 4th and 1, and the stop by St. Anthony's. Dave McHugh leads the way.
That is just what the doctor ordered right here. This time around, they leave it with Bryce Moore, the 200-pounder, see if he can lower his shoulder. But it's a combination of McHugh and the Delaware commit Kevin Moore making the stop.
What a big play by the Friars. How pivotal might this one be with 9:37 remaining in quarter number 4.
You know, Dylan, even though we're relatively early in this New York Catholic football slate, as we work towards the end of the season, this could wind up being a big one. Both of these teams think that they'll be up in the top of that AAA division.
Handoff on 1st down. Again, some miscommunication, and Michael Libretta makes the big tackle on DeLesso.
That's the 2nd time in the last 2 drives we've seen DeLesso open up the wrong way. And these are kind of just the little mistakes that sometimes happen when you're a relatively inexperienced player out there, putting St. Anthony's behind the sticks on 2nd down.
An official's timeout with an injured Monsignor Farrell player. When you talk championship history, so much of that conversation is all about St. Anthony's in his league. 15 AAA championships. That one state title we showed you before. This is a team, whether it was under the great Rich Reichert, who now has a way named after him in this beautiful complex here at St. Anthony's, or now under Joe Minucci, it has been excellence personified here in South Huntington.
Yeah, there's a reason why the best Catholic football player on Long Island wins the Rich Reichert Award every year. It was a dynasty a la Nick Saban in Alabama for many years. And Joe Minucci has had a lot of success in his 7 seasons here, but wants to get back to the promised land in this 25 season.
DeLesso will air it out, looking for more. Dives for it. There was contact with Libretta, but no flag on the play.
St. Anthony's has struggled to get that big play here today, so I like that call on 2nd down. Try and work something over the top. See that strong arm of DeLesso, and Moore just unable to keep his feet right there after he gets a step on the Monsignor Farrell secondary.
And you're right, that's been the missing part, I think, right, of the St. Anthony's offense today at least, or tonight, is the ability to stretch the field.
Yep.
So a 3rd and 14, look out. The pressure's coming. DeLesso, oh, nearly picked off again.
And that was Alex Houston right there. And he was already looking at the end zone.
Yeah, he was.
As DeLesso throws this ball. Very fortunate for the sophomore that one is not taken back for 6.
Cole Savino was applying the pressure on the back end. And then Houston, that was pick 6 all around there.
Remember, Houston's already won once in South Huntington during his Farrell career. The senior would love to make it a second time around.
And there's nobody in their Monsignor Farrell career who could say they've won twice in South Huntington. When I made that point to Rocco Del Priore about the visiting team winning in each of these last 3 games, as Moore gets the punt off, Labretta backs it up, fields it at about the 36-yard line for a short return. Rocco said, yeah, but before that, we hadn't won in like 20 years.
I think he said 1993. We're talking 30. And that really just kind of underscores how difficult it is to hop on that bus, make the 3-hour trip out to St. Anthony's, and then play under the lights in front of one of the fiercest home field advantages in the entire New York Catholic League. Right now, Farrell just 8.5 minutes away from sealing the deal.
And now if you are Farrell, you go to your bread and butter, right? You use that offensive line. You hope you have more of an edge there, as you have had for most of this game. And you want an extended drive, right? You want to go 12, 13 plays if you can. Take a lot of this clock off.
And these are situations where you're grateful to have a guy like Kevin Gumm, the senior, who has been dominant all day long. An opportunity to bleed that clock, pick up things 4 or 5 yards at a time, and see if you can really work things for a score to go up by two scores.
And that was Gumm pushing it forward. And again, it is an experienced offensive line. 4 seniors on it and a junior in the big cannoli, who also started as a sophomore. That is Carlo Della Ragione. Here comes Gumm again, runs that way, cuts it back inside. Kevin Gumm gets a first down before he's finally pulled down by Kevin Moore.
It seems like Kevin Moore has been in on every other tackle for St. Anthony's, and that's not a good sign when your safeties are really dominating that tackling leaderboard. Really been difficult for that front 7 to get anything going against Kevin Gumm, who kind of slices and dices as well as anybody that we've seen.
1st and 10 from the St. Anthony's 37. Some movement up front.
1st and 10.
Good job getting back and it not being a penalty against the Friars. Now we see Vento spelling Gumm. And Vento a little bit more. As you mentioned, the safeties have to make the tackle. This time it's Danny Rooney.
And right there, that run was led by an amazing block by Manira Bushi, who is just gonna do a kick out and result in a pancake, clear open a huge lane for Vento.
Yeah, we mentioned his uncle, O'Day, starred at Bavarian, played in the NFL. He came down to a few of the practices in the summer, which was huge for these kids.
Yeah, that NFL lineage really showing through right there, and that's as good of a pancake as you're going to see outside of IHOP.
2nd and 2. Handoff. Vento was spinning already. Tries to continue to twist himself towards that first down marker, but he'll be just a little bit shy.
Another huge 3rd and short situation for this Friars D that have done a good job kind of clamping down as Monsignor Farrell has gotten into plus territory all night. We'll see if they got one more stopping them in a big situation.
And did you see who just came in on defense? Bryce Chanchuli, your best offensive lineman, 77. As they try to find an answer to this Monsignor Farrell rushing attack.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta get as much beef in there as possible on these 3rd and short, 4th and short scenarios. Hope you can clog up the A-gaps.
Yeah, Chanchuli at nose, 6'3", 260. Here we go, goal line situation. What a hit!
What a play right there by John Drew, the senior from Northport. Lays the wood, and that's going to be a tackle for loss, setting up a 4th and 3.
Johnny Drew, how do you do? Look at this again.
And you can hear this one up in the press box right there. He's fired up and trying to dig deep, see if this Friars D has one more stopping him. About 5.5 left on the board.
Huge play here in this one. Mark it down. 4th and 3 from the 30. And again, Farrell showing goal line. The Lions have 3 timeouts at their disposal. And it appears they will utilize one of those. They will, with 5:24 left. We'll take this timeout with them as well. You're watching this Catholic High School AAA Showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
All right, back in South Huntington, inside this huddle. Pat, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What is the play call?
To me, I'm looking at my best offensive linemen. Spatola and Della Ragione on that left side have been cooking all day long, and I'm saying, hey guys, can you get me one more big push? That big 315-pounder at left tackle is going to be digging deep here.
There's the fake. Moy rolls out under pressure, gets rid of it.
On top of that, looks like it's going to be an intentional grounding, so it should give this St. Anthony's offense some great field position.
Ethan Bramoff was the one who put the pressure on.
And that right there is the double-edged sword that you see when you look to pass in a situation like that. All of a sudden, you wind up getting sacked, and St. Anthony's going to be in a position to go in from the 50-yard line. 5 minutes left to try and tie this one up.
Yeah, obviously the loss and down inconsequential because it was 4th down, but it is more about the field position.
Yeah, what a huge swing right there. Farrell hoping to get the first down and put this one on ice. Instead, St. Anthony's offense is going to get one more shot out here to try and tie this one up.
5:16 left, 4th quarter. St. Anthony's down by 7. They have 1 timeout remaining.
You know, Dylan, if I'm calling plays, you got plenty of time right here, so the entire playbook is open to you. Nothing wrong with running the ball, and I'd really lean on my 4-star running back in the backfield, Xavier Bala, and say, hey, can you bring us to the promised land?
He does get the carry on 1st down. A little hesitation, and he pushes himself towards that 45-yard line, a short gain for the junior.
Yeah, right there, the Farrell D collapses in on him. Nowhere to go.
Trips right for the Friars. It is Kevin Moore at the bottom of your screen. DeLesso rolls this way. Finds a receiver. A broken tackle as well. That's Man Caruso, who will move the change for the Friars.
It's a nice job by the senior right here. Find the soft spot in the zone. Gonna sit down underneath it. Keep things moving the right direction. One of the biggest plays you've seen through the air for St. Anthony's all night.
So it'll be St. Anthony's ball at the Farrell 27-yard line. Bala the lone back. Oh, and some movement up front. It was on that right side of the line. I think it might have been Prokop, the tight end.
Yeah, and that's
was right there with him.
Another situation where that relative experience kind of shows for St. Anthony's a huge situation, and all of a sudden you move yourself behind the stick starting off at 1st and 15.
Man Caruso, now part of Tripp's left. Here comes Bala towards the St. Anthony's sideline. There's a flag on the play.
On the carry, flag on the play.
When it comes in the direction of the running back, I was about to say 9 times out of 10, it's a hold. This is the other option. It's a face mask against Monsignor Farrell.
And that's going to be what, their 3rd personal foul on the night as they stack up for both teams.
Well, that's the question I was going to say, and we'll see when they march it off. Was it, I think it's a 5-yarder, so it's not that 15-yard
incidental contact
variety.
Nonetheless, cancels out that false start. Gives St. Anthony's a 1st and 8 right here.
Yeah, from the 25-yard line.
First and 8 for the Flyers.
DeLesso, quick out to Moore. Has blockers upfield. That was Russo and Mancaruso blocking on the edge, which sets up a very manageable second down now for the Friars.
They've loved those quick hitters all night right there. The slip screen to Moore. Get something going. Another.
Yeah, do it again, right? This time again, Moore. And that's great leg tackling on the play. I think it was Leverock, number 10.
It's a good tackle right there for Leverock, a guy who only became a starter after their loss at Del Barton.
So no gain on that play, 3rd and 2. Here comes Bala. Cuts it to the outside. And how many times have we called double deuce for Monsignor Farrell? Vento.
And this is a situation where you see Bala start to get some daylight, but instead Anthony Vento just flies up, does a great job chopping out the legs. It sets up a crucial 4th down right here.
A rare tackle for loss, I believe, there against Bala. Hang on a second. How many Farrell guys are out there? Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. We talked all day long about self-inflicted wounds for Monsignor Farrell. Appears this might be one more.
12 men on the field for foul. That's going to give St. Anthony's a first down.
And that's a free first down for St. Anthony's. So they avoid the high pressure 4th and 1, and instead this sets up 1st and 10 inside the red zone.
We had a telestrator, we could have paused it and you could have counted all the Farrell guys on the field.
Yeah, maybe 2026 for Varsity Media.
Maybe
ESPN
run. Maybe next month, we'll see.
All right, there we go.
But what a, I mean, you have that emotional Vento tackle facing a 4th down, and now 1st and 10 from the 18. The hesitation, a flag is thrown again. And this will be another penalty, an offensive holding penalty.
Looks like Nathan Farrell, the junior center for St. Anthony's, gets caught up in that one. And you'll see Joe Vitale basically just get yanked in the wrong direction. Penalties really become the story of this game in the second half. And I guess you could say you might have expected this with a young St. Anthony's team. I didn't necessarily expect that given the maturity of Monsignor Farrell, but adding up on both sides.
And it's a spot foul in high school football. It's the ball placed back on the 24-yard line.
And as that clock ticks down, if you're St. Anthony's, you got to think this is your last shot right here on this drive to tie up this ball game.
1 on the play clock. They do get it off, or did they not? No, timeout.
Timeout taken by
St. Anthony's. So they utilize their final timeout on that play. A busy weekend for us on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Unfortunately, Pat, you're not with me, but I will be out in Rockville Center tomorrow, Cary and Southside. Little Nassau Public School football at 2 o'clock, and then just before that, a 1:30 kickoff, St. John the Baptist in Kellenberg in this Catholic High School League.
For those who love great running backs, Cary's junior Justin DiPietro is as physical a guy as you will see on all of Long Island. An absolute stud who will be playing big-time football himself in a couple years.
They're already starting to get those looks, the talks, the emails, the texts.
He's a guy Mike Stanley has told me he thinks is going to be a service academy type guy. You know, maybe a great fit for a West Point, or maybe the Naval Academy.
So here we go, off the timeout. DeLesso comes this way, and Mancaruso makes the grab.
That's a big heads-up play by the senior right there, knowing exactly where the sideline is. Getting out of bounds, and nice delivered ball right there by DeLesso.
And that's the other thing, too, that Minucci said. Good arm, makes good decisions. Handoff, Bala turns, and not a lot there for him.
Looks like CJ Palazzolo was in on that one, the senior, and I think we were expecting Bala to kind of start to dominate as this game would wear on, but all of a sudden Farrell find the solution for number 14.
And big 55, Palazzolo, he was on the field here when they beat St. Anthony's in 2023. Got a lot of NESCAC looks. High academic, CJ Palazzolo. So he'll put that one on his film.
For sure.
Here we go, 3rd and 5 from the 9. The fake, DeLesso kicks it outside, tucks it under. DeLesso, did he get the first down?
DeLesso on the carry.
And looks like he was shy, forced out at the 9-yard line.
Brings up 4th down and 4.
So Dylan, this is your game right here, 4th and 4. We'll see what Joe Minucci dials up.
And again, does not have a timeout at his disposal. Bala is your lone back. Fake goes his way. Kevin Moore, touchdown, St. Anthony's.
What a call right here. They're going to dial up the play action. See that Farrell D bite on Xavier Bala and then go to their other D1 commit, Kevin Moore, on the slant. Gotta love it, and an excellently delivered ball by Anthony DeLesso as they're 1 point away from tying this puppy up.
And it looks like that will be what they will go for here, the 1 point. Your kicker is Dean Novellino. Nick Zank is your long snapper, and Mason Correas to hold.
And I like that decision right here. If you're on the road, maybe you consider going for 2, but behind this home field advantage, Joe Minucci wants to play for overtime.
Snap is good. Novellino's kick is blocked! Another special teams play. Was that Gum again?
And who else? His second block of the season. Kevin Gum has done it all today. A whole host right there on the inside. Also looks like,
I want to say, did we see 17 Doyle in the middle of that?
wow, what a play. And Dylan, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Special teams 1/3 of the game, and Monsignor Farrell has delivered a dominant performance in that phase right there, finishing it off. And if you're St. Anthony's, your only option here is going to be an onside kick. Otherwise, Farrell goes out with their second win in South Huntington in 3 years, something that's rarely been done in the history of St. Anthony's football.
What a play on specials for Monsignor Farrell. We saw the celebration by Gum, and he is a guy who has already blocked a punt and a PAT this year, so natural for us. We see the celebration, we know the pedigree, we go to him.
Tough to tell who in the middle was responsible for stuffing that one right there. And sets up another crucial special teams play right here. Monsignor Farrell gets their hands team out there, their most trusted guys. Try and dive on this one and seal up a victory and a very happy bus ride back to Staten Island.
They've got to seal it here first. Hands team up front. Vento among them. Novellino, it's got to go 10 yards. Takes a high bounce, it's loose, and St. Anthony's has come away with it.
Are you kidding me right here? Just when you thought the drama was over for the night. Farrell unable to come up with that one.
Scandaris comes away with it. The high bounce became problematic.
Actually looks like Jax Prokop, the tight end D-end right there. Oh my word.
A new life now for the Friars.
St. Anthony's, they thought they had tied the game up.
And Rocco Del Priore arguing with the officials.
Not much to argue here, though.
That went go the 10 yards.
That went probably 30 or so. He might be arguing on that ball placement because you cannot advance an onside kick. It's a dead ball wherever you recover it. But looks like St. Anthony's going to get this ball on about the Monsignor Farrell 33.
Yeah, good call by you. And we do see the officials convening, right, where Jimmy Graham is leading this talk. We'll show you, if we can, that the onside kick again as they have this conversation. But that's a great shout by you about the failure to advance it.
And I think that's what Rocco Del Priore is talking about with Jimmy Graham right now. Let's try and spot exactly where. Yep. He bobbled. Dylan, I think they got the right spot because he didn't make a full recovery. He's bobbling that ball from about the 40 all the way in. And it looks like St. Anthony is going to have this ball inside the 35-yard line or so with 1:15 to try and eke this one out.
Yeah, he didn't advance it, right? He was still trying to control the football. We'll show another one. We have a tighter angle of it here. As he still doesn't have it, finally falls on it.
Yeah, juggles that all the way to the 33 or so. So great job by our white hat and this officiating team. They've had their work cut out for them today.
Great job by our guys up top, too. Kevin Catalanato, Ron Pierre, giving us a definitive look there. So here we go. St. Anthony's, 1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. They have no timeouts remaining. They have 1:15 left. That's a smart call there by Rocco Del Priore. With emotions being as high as they are, let's utilize a timeout here and reset ourselves.
Try and settle your defense in a little bit. They thought they had the game won just about 2 or 3 minutes ago. All of a sudden, football is a crazy game. Things can turn and turn quick. So he wants to make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to be and that they're ready to go execute on their assignments, make sure St. Anthony's doesn't get a quick one.
Pat, we saw 2 plays back-to-back that we rarely see, right? A blocked PAT and then a successful onside kick. But you knew there was trouble on the high bounce.
Oh, yeah, that was perfect execution right there. And as a kicker, your main goal is to try and get that ball up in the air, make it a jump ball. Right there, you see the ball doesn't get up in the air necessarily on the block kick, and then all of a sudden slips through a Farrell returner's hands, and Prokop, the beneficiary, giving new life to this St. Anthony's offense.
You know what, looking back at that again, I wonder if that was Mastro Giulio, 28. Here comes Bala now. Spins, turns, a little tush push by the Friars.
And even though that's a nice run on 1st down, St. Anthony's going to have to be mindful of the pace right here. Don't have any timeouts. Now less than a minute to play. Can't be walking around casually. Got to get up to the ball, get set, get this 2nd down play off.
Bala to DeLesso's right hip. DeLesso, the pass, complete. It goes to man Caruso. That window was so tight.
Oh, that was a perfectly delivered ball, just an absolute dime by DeLesso, and now the clock stops for a brief moment as they reset the chains.
30 seconds remaining. Quick out. Here is Moore. Moore cuts it inside. Kevin Moore finally forced out of bounds.
And that's a heads-up play right there by the senior Delaware commit, getting out of bounds. They don't have any timeouts right there. He fought a couple would-be tacklers to get out and give the St. Anthony's offense a chance to settle themselves as they look at a 1st and goal situation.
Well, correction, it is a 2nd and 2. So they could still gain a 1st down here, which again, at least momentarily would stop the clock. 23 seconds left. The fake to Bala, the throw towards the end zone, and that is broken up.
Looked like Charlie Costanzo, a guy who Almost had an interception earlier. Does such a good job reading the quarterback's eyes. Thought he might have had the game winner right there. Looks like a flag down on the field.
Flag on the play.
Xavier Bala's fired up.
I think it's against St. Anthony's. Let's see.
Question becomes, if there is indeed a flag, is there a runoff in this situation? Appears not.
So Jimmy Grant, let's see what the call was.
And that one really hurts. St. Anthony's goes from 2nd and 2.
And even there too, potential, right? Pat, they're going for the end zone, but potential field goal range, and now you push yourself even deeper. DeLesso looking for Moore. Moore dives for it. Kevin Moore, incomplete, but there is a flag on the play.
And some frustration being shown right there in that Farrell secondary. Looks like they wound up getting Michael Libretta, the Moore transfer, on a PI in a huge situation right here. It's going to give a fresh set of downs. St. Anthony's just 16 seconds left.
And they'll count this one off 15 yards. Here's another look, Pat.
Half the distance to the goal. And what would normally be a 15-yarder. So that'll put St. Anthony's at about the 10-yard line going in, just 16 seconds left.
4 or 3 from the 8-yard line.
These games always seem to come down to the final plays, don't they? DeLesso, another jump ball, and that one more advantage to Libretta.
So all of a sudden, 3rd down, only 13 seconds left. So if you're St. Anthony's, you basically got 3 options. You can go for the end zone right here, try and get the touchdown. You can get a 1st down and try and go and quickly spike the ball. Or you can have an incomplete pass and try and get off a field goal. But the last thing you want to see is a sack or someone being tackled behind the sticks.
3rd down and 3 from the 8.
3rd and 3 from the 8. DeLesso. It gets bobbled, and it is incomplete. Again, Moore, the intended target.
So all of a sudden, Dean Novellino, who had the blocked PAT, is now going to have to come out here and try and hit a game-winning field goal. Just 9.6 seconds left. And it looks like this is going to be about a 30-yarder.
There is still a timeout for Monsignor Farrell. They might try to ice the kicker here. This one is set up as a 27-yard field goal. And there is the timeout, as expected, from Monsignor Farrell.
It's a tough situation as a high school kicker to have this 30 seconds or so to think everything over. No bigger boom or bust position in athletics, really, in general. You know, you're either walking out a hero or with your head down. I just can't imagine what's going through Novellino's mind as he sets up for this 27-yarder.
And the one thing that can't go through his mind is the blocked PAT, right? That's got to be washed.
That definitely complicates things. It's tough to kind of reset that memory. St. Anthony's, I'm sure, right now discussing it over with that front. Hey, guys, we got to make sure we buckle down right here, give him a clean opportunity to get the ball up in the air against the Farrell special teams unit that's caused chaos all year long.
Nick Zenk is your long snapper. Mason Carreras to hold, and it is Dean Novellino looking to be the hero for St. Anthony's. 26-yard field goal attempt, wobbles, wide left.
This is no good.
And Monsignor Farrell, they thought they had it won earlier, but now you can just about officially say they have won this game.
And Rocco Del Priore, you see him on the sideline there, got to feel good And it's hard to imagine that he wasn't thinking about that block in the most recent PAT as that kick sails wide left.
You think it doesn't mean anything to Rocco right now? He can provide all that fuel the bus needs on that long trip back to Staten Island.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can only imagine how good it must feel for these seniors, for Monsignor Farrell. A few of them were on that 2023 team that really shocked the world, winning at St. Anthony's for the first time in 30 years. And here we go again tonight. Back-to-back wins in some of the toughest territory to play in all of New York Catholic high school football.
And somehow, for the fourth consecutive year, the visiting team, and it's not like it's a short ride down Wolf Hill Road here, has won this game. And as was the case back in 2023, Rocco Del Priore leading the charge, fired up as Monsignor Farrell picks up a really important road win.
Coach Del Priore's got to feel great. You know, going into New York Catholic play, this team really challenged themselves with a brutal non-conference schedule. They started off by playing South Shore from Brooklyn and really dominated in that game. Went up to Albany to play Christian Brothers Academy. Had a tough loss at Del Barton and Morristown. And that was a game that Coach Del Priore said really set them up for this slate. You know, they faced some adversity early on, and all of a sudden they're going back to Staten Island at the end of September with a 4-1 record as Rocco Del Priore gets the Farrell faithful going.
It's the same as he did back in 2023.
Deja vu all over again, Dylan.
As Rocco Del Priore wants to get the Farrell faithful up and excited. And what a win for Monsignor Farrell.
This is exactly what you live for if you're Rocco Del Priore, a guy who spent almost 16 years trying to work his way up to that head varsity football job within this Farrell program. Takes it over 4 years ago, and he had nights like this in mind when he's thinking about the kind of program he wanted to build. Biggest senior class they've had in a long time at Farrell with 30 seniors, and this is something these guys can be talking about the rest of their lives, stunning a St. Anthony's crowd that's not used to losing much on Friday nights in South Huntington.
What a win for Monsignor Farrell. They improved to 4-1 on this season, 2-0 in the Catholic High School Football League. An emotional win against St. Peter's last week. Doesn't get more emotional than this one. Going on the road, winning at St. Anthony's, a huge win for Monsignor Farrell. As St. Anthony's, they'll fall to 2-3. They'll be 1-1 in the Catholic League, and the road for them doesn't get any easier with Iona Prep, the defending champions, coming to town next week.
Yeah, Iona, and then Hayes, and then Chaminade. It's a tough road looking ahead for St. Anthony's. You hope there's something that they can build off of, and knowing Coach Minucci, he's going to be challenging his team all week in practice to kind of clean up some of those costly errors that prevented them from being victorious tonight. On the flip side, for Monsignor Farrell, you've got Fordham Prep next week, a manageable AAA schedule thereafter, and all of a sudden they're really in the driver's seat as they look to emerge as one of the top seeds in this year's playoffs.
What a game here Friday night in South Huntington. Kevin Moore, the big touchdown catch. All they needed to tie was a PAT. That was blocked. Desperation time. St. Anthony's needs something, and they do get it. Jax Prokop falls on that ball. New life for the Friars off of that onside kick. But then the potential game-winning field goal is short. And the boys from Monsignor Farrell will head back across the Verrazano, victorious here on a Friday night. For our entire Varsity Media crew, our executive producer, Ben Turchin, our technical director, Chris Sweeney, for Ron Pierre, Kevin Catalanato, bringing you all those lasting moving images. For my broadcast partner, Pat Godfrey, Dylan Butler, thanking you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.